X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time.
Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? We feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep vaping with my mills, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled mind. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all right shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your face now. Show you how.
Good evening, everybody. Hello. It is so good to see all of you. Welcome. Hey, Transgal, Dagmar, Coded, Shoten LLC, Nightmoth, Exolar, Winbee, Miss Whateverist, what's up? Lily's what? Good to see you. Internet Creative User, hello, or Insert Creative User, hello there. Cryptid T, good to see you. Pesky, Nightmoth, I've already said your name. Balthazar, what's up? Good to see you. Coin Dog, what's going on? Saru, good to see you. Nina, what's up? Good to see you, Dejaro. I'm sorry I didn't end up streaming yesterday. I ended up being too busy, but to make up for it, I'll be streaming today and tomorrow. And just sort of amending the stream schedule so that, like, yesterday and the day before were days off, and then, you know, I work today, work tomorrow, day off the day after that, etc., etc. I just continue with the same schedule. I'm replaying Fallen Order in anticipation of Jedi Survivor. I hope Jedi Survivor ends up being good. Let me know if it comes out and it's as good as the first or better. Late evening Zan streams are the best. I'm glad you think so. I do like to make them chill and a vibe. I got more weed. I got more Sticky Frog weed. And these things are strong. Holy shit. You're gonna watch the Mario movie through a sussy-ass Discord embed link? Good luck, Coded. Good luck, I hope you enjoy it. Marijuana. I need to try weed. Well, don't feel peer pressured into trying it. Only try it if you genuinely have an interest in it, and it seems like something that's, you know, your decision. You know, don't just, like, try it because you're being peer pressured by society. By the way, I just want to say to every single one of you who's here right now hanging out, I really do appreciate it. You guys are very kind, and I love the support you guys have brought out. If you want to support me a little extra, though, you can do so for completely free simply by hitting the like button over on YouTube. That thumbs up button really goes a long way. We've got 35 likes right now. If we could get up to like 50 or how about 69 likes? Could we get it to 69 likes? That would be awesome. Can we get the meme number? Can we get up to 69? I think you guys are capable of it. And of course, if you guys want to help keep the show on the air and you want to help support me financially, you can always do so if you've got the money for it and don't need it for anything else by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website. But you can also support me through the other financial support links in the description. Just like Tyler Hackner just did with the $2 super chat, just said, love your content and perspective. I really appreciate that, homie. I'm glad you enjoy my stuff. I hope it provides you with a lot of entertainment, and I appreciate your support a lot. We're at 53 likes. I feel like we can hit 69. Come on, hit that like button. We can hit 69 and surpass it. I'm sure of it. By the way, I made sure to kill the frog in your name. To kill the frog in your name. What? I have no idea. The Star Wars frog. Oh yeah, that's an OG. Okay, I blacked that out. I literally like blacked that out so I didn't have to think about it. One more like till we hit 69, chat. We're at 68. 70. That means we hit 69. Let's go. All right, chat. Good luck. Good luck, and see if you can hit 100. Every like counts, and I really do appreciate it. You guys are very kind. Trans gal, we gotta airlift you out of Texas. You gotta get out of there. You're in, like, besides Florida, you're like in the heart of hell. You're like in the 7th ring. The 7th pit. You're not in a good place right now, I'm sorry. You gotta get out of there. Maybe go to Galveston or Austin. I feel like that's where you'd be safer, but even then, you're still subject to the whims of the state government. Zan's live? Nice. That is true. I am live right now. That is nice. I do like being live. Cover it or react to it, Cryptid T. Is it like a bad video or a good one? I don't know who that is. It's a good video? You ever been up the Palm Springs aerial tramway up to San Jacinto? Oh yeah, Lonely Fish. I went up there quite a few times. I really like it up there. I sadly never got to go up when it was snowing and all snowy up there, but I got to go up many times during the summer. And yeah, the view, I was sweating like crazy from my hands, like my palms going up the tram because I'm so terrified of heights. It's my one fear is heights. And yeah. It was fun. It's a good view from up there. Xander, I found you from both politics and hightail, so Xan Hart. Hell yeah! A fellow hightail waiter. I will say, once again... Oh god, I dropped my vape and I'm trying to get it, and it's like under the chair. In a weird way. Ah, there we go. A fellow hightail waiter indeed. Welcome. By the way, I will say that my current, like, theory for when we're gonna get hightail, here's my theory, alright? I think late 2023 to early 2024, either they do an open beta or a closed beta that mostly includes content creators and you know, figures that are in the, like, gaming journalism space and what have you. Like, somewhere late this year, early next year. And I'm thinking we're probably going to mid or late 2024 have an announcement of the full launch of the game. and I think the game will probably come in before the end of Q2 2025. That is my best guess, based on what I've seen, and based on the fact that, like, their team is big and continually growing. How many animals are confirmed for Hytale? I think there was actually... It's a little bit outdated, so there's definitely more than what's included in this video, but there is a video about this. All mobs, Hytale, Quebec Corner. And remember, this is just featuring some of what we've been shown, and they're showing very little. This is just vanilla Hytale in, like, the adventure mode. This is from 3 years ago, so this isn't even counting the stuff that they've shown off in the last 3 years. This is all 130 mobs and creatures shown so far. I don't know if Quebec Connor has been updating this video.
Welcome back to Quebec Corner. I'm Connor, and today we're jumping straight into things by listing every mob, race, and creature shown off for Hytale so far. I've gone ahead and split them up into groupings with timestamps that you can find below. The categories are as follows: land, water, flying, races or factions, prehistoric, and void or undead. This video is sponsored by Server Pro.
Okay,
Server
Connor,
Pro
I
has
get
a
it, man.
craft server
I get
that
it.
you can swap over once Hytale is launched.
Get that bag.
So let's just jump straight into it. Land beasts.
This is just what they've shown, and they haven't even shown us close to all of it, or even most of it, or even a lot of them. Because, like, they've been very tight-lipped with a lot of the game. Even though we've seen a lot, we haven't even seen close to most of it.
Bison. Grizzly bears. Deerlings. Ram. Rats. Meerkats. Warthogs.
True.
Wild boar.
Yeah. Quebecs.
Horses. Chicken. Chicks.
Those are the same animal. But, yeah.
Mouse. Cow. Pig. Sheep.
Gotta have the basics.
Antelope. Reindeer. Tetrabird.
Holy shit.
Fox. Rattlesnake. Regular snake.
Regular
Rabbit.
snake. I like
Secret
that.
bull. Polar bear. Flamingo.
Hog. Floridian
Jackalope.
representation.
Hyena. Black cat. White wolf. Brown
Yep.
dog. Ginger
Corgi.
dog.
corgis.
Chalk wolf. White spiders. Brown spiders. Yeti. Cacti. Ember wolf. Next up are all the creatures that can be found in the water.
It goes on for a while, and this is just what they've showed off, like, 3 years ago. There's going to be a lot of mobs in Hytale. There's going to be a lot of creatures filling the world. Yeah, those spiders trigger my arachnophobia. You're going to have to get over it, Bouth. We're going to be playing Hytale, and you're going to have to handle it. We're going to have to figure something out. Honestly, I feel like Hytale's going to be so base, they'll have, like, a spider accessibility option where it, like, turns them into sausages or some shit like that. I feel like I could talk to some people about that and get that done. What do you think about Minecraft Legends? I'm going to be completely honest with you. It doesn't look appealing. It looks like another distraction from making Minecraft better. You know what just happened recently? Huge news. Huge fucking news. For 2B2T. The oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. Big news. We will not be watching a FitMC video. Instead, we'll be watching this video by James Russells. That was put out just the other day. I'm going to put it on 1.25 speed. For a lot of you guys, this won't really mean much, but if you're a 2B2T player or 2B2T enthusiast, this is really big for you, especially if you've been playing for a very long time and just really, really wish the server would update.
Is Housemaster using this year's April Fool's event to test a system that could change the future of 2B2T? Unlike other years in the server's history, this year's April Fool's event was completely different. There
Hasn't
were over
updated, no, not yet.
600 players online, with almost 20 TPS.
That's huge.
So the answer is probably yes. Those of you who know 2B2T and Anarchy Minecraft in general will know this is either a complete lie or something else is happening under the surface. How can it be possible to have so many players online with such high performance? Well, keep watching and I'll explain how this...
Like, this is absurdly high TPS, but to be fair, 2B2T's been like in the steady 19 to 20 TPS most of the time when I go on there. But granted, that's with like 250 players on there. Like, we're talking nearly 600 people on a new map, granted, but it's in 1.19 and it's 600 players. Like, this is big. What does TPS mean? Ticks per second. Basically, in Minecraft, on a server, ideally, the server would be operating at 20 ticks per second. This would essentially mean that there would be no lag between, like, the game and the server and the game again, right? Like, let's say you break a block. Like, there's two different types of lag that you get that are not frame lag. There's lag that's on your end because your ping is too high. That's like your MS. You can see this person has 156 ping. Not too crazy bad, especially for Minecraft. But the TPS is the server's performance. If the TPS is like below 18, below 16, you're going to experience noticeable lag where like you break a block, it reappears, you maybe have to break it again, and then it actually breaks, and then takes a minute to pick up. Eating takes a long time. Fishing takes a long time. Everything takes a long time because everything like takes a bit to register with the server. This means that that shit isn't happening, which is unthinkable for 2B2T typically, and unthinkable for 2B2T with this many players, all hacking and all that shit. Like, this video explains it, you'll see.
Performance is now a real possibility for Anarchy Minecraft and how it can keep 2B2T running for many more years.
Let's go.
2B2T, the oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. It's known for its incredible history, its many legendary players, and its massive player base. But there's one problem that this huge player base has always struggled with: lag. Until now, there hasn't been a good solution to the lag problem, but that's about to change. When this year's April Fool's event started, it was a fresh new map. But almost straight away, players noticed a high TPS, with hundreds of players online at once. This was very different from how 2B2T usually runs on 1.12. Some people on Reddit began to investigate and came up with theories on how it could be possible to have so many players on the server while keeping the TPS so high. And it didn't take long before there was one real possibility. Folia, a new Minecraft server system made by the same people who created Paperspigot or PaperMC that 2B2T currently runs on. Folia splits each world into its own regions and allows the server to use multi-threading.
This isn't just big for 2B2T, this is big for all Minecraft servers. This is big for all Minecraft servers. We could potentially employ this for my future servers and allow way more people to join the server without huge performance issues. Like this could be big.
Allows the server to use multi-threading. Up to now, multi-threading in Minecraft was always a meme.
And that's going to be important as my channel gets larger and there's higher and higher demand for people to join the Minecraft server. I mean, think back to, every single year I've done the 12 Days of Christmas server, the channel's been, gotten bigger, and there's been more people wanting to join. The first year I did it, I only had a few people. Next year, the first couple years I did it was single player. The first year I brought people in, it was just a few people. Then the next year it was just maybe 6 people at most. Then the year after that, it was maybe a dozen people at most. And this time around, we had nearly 50 to like 40 people on it at a given time. This year, there's going to be 100 people wanting to be on at once, maybe more at like peak times this year. It's going to be a lot. We're going to have to have a whole team whitelisting people. Mining away.
With most people thinking it would never be possible to achieve. But it looks like that meme could now become reality. Folia changes how the server runs, so most, if not all plugins, don't work yet. This is probably why the April Fool's map had no anti-cheat, allowing players to fly and use other exploits that their 1.19.4 clients would have.
So basically, presuming that this Folia thing is what would allow 2B2T to update to 1.19 with its, the current old map, assuming that is what allows House to go through with it and that's what he needs, the thing that is holding him back presently is the fact that all the anti-cheat plugins and whatnot and other server stabilizing plugins have not been made compatible with Folia yet because it's so new. And so he just tested it on the 2B2T April Fool's server, or April Fool's event. It worked really well, but they don't have the compatible anti-cheat. So I guess we're waiting for the anti-cheat to get updated, and then maybe House updates the server. I'm an optimistic man. Apparently, the last few updates House has tried, or the last few tests House has tried for getting 2B2T on 1.19 have been very good. So good that I'm surprised the server hasn't updated yet. I think one of them even had the old map on 1.19. So I don't know what really is the holdup right now. Maybe it's just been this. This could be what's been the holdup. And if that's the case, then maybe House intends to not just update 2B2T, but to update 2B2T and allow it to accommodate twice the player count. What's 2B2T? The oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft. It's a Minecraft server that's been around for 10 years, maybe more. You're allowed to do anything on it. You can say anything, do anything, hack, cheat, steal, grief, swear, say as many slurs as you want in the chat, build swastikas. It's all out fucking chaos. And most of what comes out of it is trash, but sometimes diamonds come from it. Sounds like a right-wing cesspool? It can be. Some people call it the 4chan of Minecraft, but there's a lot of greatness that comes out of it as well.
But some things like flight exploits were speed limited, my opinion, and death messages were still working. While the TPS was high, things like loading terrain would be very slow, as the server was probably focusing on keeping all the different areas of the map loaded. With over 600 players online at the same time, they were most likely pushing this new system to its limits when generating new terrain. But with so much of the main 2B2T map already explored, slow terrain generation would only really affect people in new chunks, and generating terrain in the nether and end dimensions is a lot faster than the overworld normally anyway. So most players wouldn't notice much of a difference when on Folia.
Yeah. I honestly think the holdup is compatibility with anti-cheat plugins.
Server crashed a few times too, sending myself and other players back into the queue server. But with the main game server offline, we had nowhere to go. And with the spawn radius being at least 20,000 blocks from spawn, it was so hard meeting other players on the test map. But I did find one dead body before becoming one myself, at the exact same spot. So what can we learn from 2B2T's 2023 April Fool's event? Well, it looks like the future of Anarchy Minecraft is going to be much more interesting than we expected. With over 600 players being online at once on a single server, not a network, a single server, there will be absolute mayhem in high traffic areas of the map, like spawn and the many landmarks. Just imagine getting your base griefed by 200 people at the same time. There's still some bugs to be fixed, like slow terrain generation, but the data that this event collected will be used by the Folia devs to make the system even better. The devs noticed 2B2T running on Folia almost straight away, and they were discussing it for hours in the paper MC
The devs of Folia noticed, and they're hyped about it.
Discord server. Multi-threading has arrived. It's no longer a meme, and the future looks bright. If this is how the server could handle itself after just one day running on Folia, I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Thank you so much for making it this far. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.
Nice. James Russell seems chill. Yeah. God, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for the future of 2B2T. I really, really am. God. Thank you for coming out, everybody. Fractals, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Said, started watching your content again in the past few weeks. I was busy. You've grown a ton and your content is better than ever. Rooting for you. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Listen, it's a practice thing. The more you stream, the better you get at it, you know? So, it's just, you know, the longer I do this, the better I'll get at it. So, yeah, look forward to that, I guess. Thank you. I really appreciate the tier 2 sub. How many months was that, by the way, Fractals? I don't want to undercredit you. If you're still here. I assume you are. Yeah, you are. If you're not AFK. A 3-monther as well. Thank you, Fractals. I really appreciate it. Hell yeah. That is really, really generous of you. Thank you for the $24. I hope you enjoy the content. Thank you so much for supporting it. And of course, to anybody else who may want to donate, I really appreciate it as well. But if you cannot afford to, feel free to drop a like. It is completely free, and it really does help the channel a lot. Every single thumbs up over on the stream on YouTube is really, really appreciated, and it helps a whole fucking lot. I was today years old when I found out I was no longer a blue name. Oh... Unfortunate. You got.
Women.
All right. I got our first segment ready. Really quick, chat. Before we do our first segment of the day, I'm curious. I'm just curious, okay? Hi, what country are all of you watching from tonight? I'm just curious what country everyone's from that's watching. Time zone-wise. Canada, US, Canada, US, Norway. Greece, Hungary. I'm also hungry. America, Germany. America, Lithuania. America, Scotland. Czech Republic. America. A lot of Mercas in chat. Czech Republic mentioned. W. Zagafer, holy shit, thank you for the 8 tier 1 gifted subs, holy hell. I'm sure that Pink Harpy, Frager Philip, Zoomy Deer, Trash Boy, Cleaver 120, Lord Cow 77, Cat Cullis, and Augusta Nora all really appreciate it. I certainly do as well. That is $40 Adinos right there. Thank you so much. You didn't even say anything. Just dropped that kindness bomb in the chat and said nothing. Thank you. Hot damn, that really does help a lot. I really do appreciate it. And remember, guys, if we do hit the dono goal today, I put on the onesie. And if we hit $500 in the dono goal today, I put on the brand new onesie you guys have never seen before. Just reminding you guys, that's always an option on the table. How many onesies do you have? At this point, 2. Or actually 3. You guys love the onesies. What am I going to do? They're a good incentive for donos. A gimp suit? If I had a $1,000 dono goal for a gimp suit, I'd hit it every stream. If there was a $10,000 goal for me to put on makeup and a dress and do full drag, I'd hit that goal every single stream. You guys would just suddenly become a lot wealthier out of nowhere. And a lot more supportive, you know? Every stream. Is that a promise? No, it is not. Yeah, if I had a dono goal of $1 million per stream to go full Finster, I'd hit it without fail every stream. Yeah, I've played Valheim. It's really good. Yeah, I know that, Balth. I heard. Yeah, Pink Sheep. We're going to be talking about that today as well. It would be funny if Zan had a penis onesie, but I'm sure YouTube would find it to be against TOS. A cock onesie would be funny. You know, it's like my legs are the balls, so like when I walk around, it's like, hold on. Let me show you exactly what I'm thinking of here. Game Grumps Spore. Yeah. This should be it. Yeah, here we go. This is what it would look like.
You got a lot of semen in there. Get it?
Can I think you can remove... Oh, I can! Wait. How do you remove... There's like a way to like remove...
Dude, give him a nice wide stance.
It's like the world's worst Thanksgiving dinner.
Can I get the giblets? I don't know how to cut this one.
Just cranberry sauce for me, please. Oh, it's a horror.
Dude, give us some eyes, dude.
Yeah,
you don't
man,
want us
for
fucking...
God's sake.
Oh, the eyes. That's right. That
You
was a
don't want to
problem
see
last
in a
time.
50s movie for the rest of your life.
The
Oh my god, dude. Come on.
I didn't mean to do that.
please, legs wide apart.
Wide apart?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a wide.
Yeah, and the thighs wide apart.
We need feet
too.
though. Let's give ourselves little feet. What kind of feet do you want?
Uh,
Suction cups.
Okay.
Little condom.
He like checks him out for he's like, oh dang,
Okay,
nice.
all right.
Dang, ain't bad, girl.
Ooh, spiked like a mace, like a club mace thing.
Well, I don't want to do anything that's out of the theme. So like maybe a little bit.
What the fuck are you talking about? The theme of like abortive horror?
What the fuck is this shit?
Pubes, man.
No, but what is it actually?
What?
Grastachio? What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I ain't got no fucking. Wait, do I have ears yet? Wait, no, that's costing too much points. I don't want to spend.
Yeah, no shit, man.
I don't care about having plant.
You gotta
plant
fucking
pubes.
prioritize.
I gotta prioritize. I need eyes first.
Give them some bowels. You can make them super small so they're practically.
Oh, I can have a
invisible.
little.
Let's see the horrors they create later. Okay, here we go. This is good.
Yeah, you can
God,
use them
this
to
is
eat better.
Really hard to watch, man.
Yeah.
It's making me hard to watch.
If you look like this creature and you spit,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw up.
Oh, I think.
Whoa!
It's Godzilla!
Dude, take him out!
No.
God
what-
damn it, Ross.
Okay. Like.
Oh,
Oh
gross.
yeah,
Gross.
strengthening that shaft. I mean neck.
Strengthening the spore creature creator.
Oh
so
dang! Can
nauseous.
you give him a little like? Whoa, dude! Oh my god! What?
Bulbous!
Dude!
It's a nightmare! Oh, God.
Oh my
that's
god.
ugly.
A histol launcher. This thing spits.
It's the Hocket launcher.
Pocket launcher. Whatever, man. I'm not a doctor.
Oh man!
Oh, God in heaven. Ah,
This will make it spit from the end.
I'm gonna Jarl.
Jarl?
Yeah, I'm gonna York.
Well, you gotta make his thighs bigger now too to compensate.
Compensate?
Yeah.
This thing's.
I don't know if they can get bigger.
Oh, no.
I think that's as big as a thigh can... Wait, no. I've got it. Hold on. No, this is just temporary.
I feel so sick right now.
Yeah!
Oh, God.
Man, look at that fucking... He is a man's man.
I feel so sick.
Creating that bulb.
I was just trying to get like the proportions right. It needs to kind
Yeah,
of like.
yeah, you don't want this to look stupid.
Yeah, all right. You're making him kind of look like who's that guy? Mandingo.
Mandingo?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Dude, you could have said anybody and it would have been funny. Kind of looks like who's Gilbert Gottfried.
Looks like Gilbert Gottfried in his Iago days. let me see it from the back again.
Look at this cock monster.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Man.
Oh no! Oh no!
Everything is wrong.
Man, you are very good at keeping your balance.
This
Yeah.
is hard to watch.
It is hard to watch.
It's making me hard to
It's
watch.
like, it looks kind of out of balance. Oh.
Oh god! All right. All right.
All right, where should we go?
Let's see. You want to hunt one Miss Butterfly. You still,
Oh, one Miss
you still
Butterfly?
haven't extincted the species yet.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Look at how he runs.
Wait.
Oh, well, like tippy toes. I love how he goes downhill. Just walks on his little.
Dick Trickle was a race car driver, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and when
The creature they end up making from there. We gotta look at that. One last time.
technically be
One
known as
last
a lady
creature.
A lady dick? Yeah. Alright, next time on Steam Trade, we'll find out what evolutionary traits you have next.
what abominations of nature wait us in the next. Await us.
Y'all
have
can
to
believe what they
watch.
make next. Y'all can believe what they create next. The
What?
here it is.
Oh my god! What?
The bipedal
What's
evolution.
happening here?
Orville Redenbach was. popcorn.
Whoa!
What?
Are you
giving him a
giving
horrible?
him a schnoz?
Oh, that's not a schnoz. That's a face dick.
No, it's not. It's an appendage created in this poor creature created.
I know a face dick when I see one. What is this, Ross? Ah! It's a nightmare! Ah! What are you doing?
I don't know.
What the heck are you doing?
Are those arms? Oh, there we go.
They're balls.
That's what I'm waiting for. It's like it's like a mustache.
It's like a mistake.
It's like a mosquito.
Oh, God.
Don't fucking giggle like that while Okay, hold on. Alright. Very nice.
Getting close to barfing.
You gotta put it on each little shoulder thing. No, his face shoulder.
What do you mean?
Like right there.
What, here?
His face scrotum.
Here?
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, up, farther.
Father?
The balls on the top of his head.
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. There you go.
Make him huge, dude. Make those eyes huge. Can you make them bigger?
Oh, actually, you know what? I want to use different eyes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you definitely make them like buggy.
What's these ones?
Oh!
Oh no! Oh no!
Ooh, that one's nice.
Yeah,
The
but
crop
it's not the
kisser.
right shape.
I know what you mean. He's always very sad every day.
It literally looks like a
Whoa.
Krogan with a malformed face.
I mean, you mean a fucking rightly formed face.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if I believe in God, but if
Yeah.
I do, I like to believe he's having a really good time like this.
Yeah. Horse feet?
Oh yeah, hooves, dude.
Oh, sweet. Finally.
We gotta stop. We'll be here all day. The viewer count is going up. The viewer count is going up. I'll literally be here all day. Yeah, I've listened to Ninja Sex Party. It goes hard as fuck. Why is necrophilia being talked about? You're in YouTube chat. What right do you have to complain about any discussion being had over there? You literally choose to exist in the chat. That's like the penal colony we seclude all the weirdos to. That are like not quite weird enough to ban, but certainly too weird to have in website chat. You're voluntarily there. Come over to website chat. I'm too weird for Zan site chat. True. Damn, Zan, don't kill him. They're like a leper colony. That's a good way to think about it, you know? Like, it's a little bit like YouTube chat's a leper colony. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it works. It works. Okay. All right. Sit your white asses down. And listen. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? Three, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So, the absolute insane incel epidemic has been growing over the last year. It went from being sort of this niche section of the internet that was kind of growing in popularity back in the early 2010s to now being, honestly, I think incel ideology, like at least the core of it, is almost like the party line of the internet right now. Like, even though the internet overwhelmingly hates Andrew Tate and his, like, posse, it feels like a lot of the same ideas they preach have actually seeped out of their sphere and become popular, like, even among people that criticize Andrew Tate nonetheless. You guys have noticed that, right? I've noticed it a lot. And with that said, I think that it's fair to say that a lot of people are kind of worried about this. I mean, where is this coming from? Why is incel ideology getting so popular? Are they just getting louder, or are there actually more people subscribing to the ideology of inceldom? Now, I should clarify, by the way, the actual definition of incel has actually changed a lot over time. Incel just used to mean involuntarily celibate, right? Like somebody who involuntarily is, celibate, as in they can't get pussy, right? They can't get laid. Obviously, it can also mean you can't get dick, but typically we're talking about men identifying as incels online. Now, though, incel has a much broader meaning outside of just dudes who can't get laid, and has basically become an umbrella term for the entire ideology that encompasses the MRA, red pill, pickup artists, right-wing, like, anti-feminist sphere, right? That's essentially what we're referring to when we say incel now, much less than the traditional, like, 2012, 2014 dude who can't get laid online, definition of incel. That basic sort of history lesson out of the way, the incels, I do think, are getting more popular. I think their figureheads are getting more attention and getting more popular, and I think generally their ranks are growing in numbers for, sadly enough, fairly valid reasons. If we look at, the state of most, maybe not most, but many, studies done on the virginity status of a lot of young, men compared to young women, 18 to, 23 or something like that, there's definitely been a pretty sharp increase in male virginity. And that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Obviously, if you're a virgin and you just haven't gotten around to having sex, or you don't want to, or it doesn't really bother you, or you're not into sex, or you're just not ready yet, that's completely fine. But let's not pretend that is most people. Most people, particularly most dudes, which is what we're really talking about here, really want to lose their virginity sooner than later, especially around 18 to 23, right? And we've also seen an increase, statistically speaking, of loneliness and feelings of sort of unwantedness in our society, both for men and women. All of these stats apply to men and women, but doubly so for men. Now, to be fair, a lot of this data has been heavily biased, or I shouldn't say biased, heavily affected by the pandemic. The pandemic played a large part in this. I don't think this is like the left or feminism or progressivism or like society that has been the largest factor of this trend. I think a lot of it has been COVID, but nonetheless, the trend did exist before COVID happened. COVID just made it worse, right? A lot of young men that are like 18 to 23, unlike, previous years, are not losing their virginities, and they want to. They're having a hard time getting into relationships, and they're even having a harder time forming friendships. Completely platonic, non-sexual friendships. Just making friends is getting to be harder, statistically speaking, for a lot of guys. All of these things across the board are. You could argue, if you wanted to try to derive like a very extreme conclusion from this data that has not been determined by any like medical experts, you could try to argue with this data that this is an indication that men are getting more antisocial, or that our society as a whole is getting more antisocial. And I think a lot of people would agree with that, but I don't know if that's entirely like, I don't know if you can determine that completely. I think that there's always been shut-ins and people who just kind of become antisocial and hide away from society. I just think the internet has given them a platform to be accessed and to be questioned and to be counted as a statistic more often. But, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell when there's so many factors playing a part. That's why I like to listen to people whose job it is to pull conclusions from data like this. Regardless, I'm not going to stunlock for too long on this. My point is that men are getting lonelier, and that loneliness is making them feel empty. And in that empty state, they're going online to search for figureheads that make them feel less empty and can offer them some sort of hope. Or maybe not even hope. Maybe they've reached the state of just complete self-pity and self-hatred, and they're looking for content creators that will reinforce their self-hating worldview, because at this point, all they're doing is looking for fuel for their own self-hatred. That's fairly common online. I know I partook in that quite a bit when I was a little chud, and I know a lot of the other chuds online do the same. Just like watch videos about how feminism is destroying the West just to kind of sulk about how doomed white men are or whatever. Like, it's pretty common. Regardless, a lot of these factors have played a part in incel ideology getting more popular, and because of that, I think a lot of people on the left, particularly women on the left, have gotten a little bit more, scared about what may happen if, men like this were to take power. And I think this TikTok that went viral, a few days ago, might be a good peek into what that would be like. Oh. I don't know why, but I just had the sudden urge to cough. Couldn't stop it. Weird. Yeah. Anyway, this is a peek at what that would be like. Yeah, plague. COVID too. I got COVID again. Anyway, let's watch this. Prepare yourselves for some nuclear cringe.
All women should be drafted, but not into the military. Men are doing their end of the bargain. We know who our foreign enemies are, and our soldiers go off and tackle them quite aptly, I think. But we also know who our domestic enemies are, our domestic foes. And those are, of course, incels, involuntarily celibate men. Study after study has shown the undeniable link between being an incel and becoming a violent domestic extremist. Incels undoubtedly represent a profound and present risk to national security. To reiterate, if men are going abroad to tackle foreign enemies, women themselves must tackle domestic enemies, and therefore women must be forcefully enlisted into a sex corps. It is my honest and sincere proposal that all women, unmarried, over the age of 18, must, via lottery system, once per year, solve this threat to national security and cure incels for at least 10 minutes. 10 minutes per year. Men can go and take a bullet. You can take that for 10 minutes. It's not that much. It's actually not an insane ask, to stop terrorism, is it?
Yeah, so, if you couldn't tell, despite the fact the way this person refers to incels in the third person, in a pretty, negative way, referring to them as likely to commit terrorism, this is still incel propaganda. It's just sort of presented in a kind of sarcastic, get back at the left way. We'll cut right through, the apparent hit you in the face absurdity of the video and try to like meticulously take this apart, because to be fair, there are a good few incels online, and even people who aren't necessarily incels but just kind of like dude bros who would kind of agree with this thought process. I've heard people suggest this online before, so let's take apart this argument as if it was worth engaging with on equal ground.
All women should be drafted, but not into the military.
Okay, so for starters, the US does have a draft system in place. However, we have not had a draft in a very long time, and not only that, but pretty much every single expert agrees that another draft ever happening in American history is pretty much impossible. It's not going to happen. Not only do we have one of, correct me if I'm wrong, the most like manned army in the world, like our military has the most numbers, if not, like China might have more people than us, but if not, then we have more equipment, like we have more guns, we have more like ships, more tanks, more vehicles, more planes, more everything. Not only that, but we have the largest amount of reserve fighters in the world for a country. So like that's not even counting the people who are actively in our military. Our reserves are fucking massive. So if we were to go to war and our currently serving military personnel were not enough, we've got a shit ton of people in the reserves. And then from there, like there's just not a chance that a draft is going to happen ever again. Why are so many men that have never been in the military so freaking torn up about the draft? Because the draft is something that has no actual physical impact on us anymore, because it's literally there's never going to be another draft. The only scenario in which there's another draft is if there's a civil war, which probably will never happen, almost certainly. Like, I'm just going to say it's never going to happen. Maybe I get proven wrong. Or a war that is so big that there would never be a draft because we would be using nukes. The only, like, foe on a national scale the U.S. could go up against that would require us to do a draft has nukes. Like, it would be like a world-ending, World War III tier scenario for America to have to do another draft. And that's not even considering our allies that would also most likely be helping us in whatever conflict would require this many people. Like, there's just so many factors you have to consider. The idea of, like, the possibility that men could get drafted as this big, overwhelming weight on men in America is ridiculous. It is not an actual price that men in America in the modern age are actually paying. 23, 22-year-old men in America are not paying any price because of the draft. The men who are taking a bullet in other countries, and women who are taking bullets in other countries, because I guess this guy conveniently forgot women serve in the military too, they're doing it because they volunteered. Plain and simple.
Men are doing their end of the bargain. We know
And women. There are women in the military, and all of them volunteered.
who our foreign enemies are, and our soldiers go off and tackle them quite aptly, I think. But we also know who our domestic enemies are, our domestic foes. And those are, of course, incels, involuntarily celibate men. Study after study has shown the undeniable link between being an incel and becoming a violent domestic extremist.
So what this guy's basically doing here is trying to do like a sly DreamWorks smile, smug, like, well, the left believes that incels are such a potential danger to society. All right, I'll grant them that. Then I guess the left will have to agree that women have a responsibility to prevent these men from becoming violent extremists by having sex with them. Checkmate, feminists. Looks like women need to be forced by the state into being raped to keep men from committing terrorism. Feminism destroyed.
Incels undoubtedly represent a profound and present risk to national security.
Obviously, not even the left is arguing this, that incels are like presenting a profound risk to national security. Like, the argument is that inceldom essentially is like a culture online at this point that is sort of pulling in a bunch of young men that feel like they need to have lost their virginities a long time ago, or feel like they need to be much more sexually appealing to women, and is radicalizing them towards, very chauvinistic worldviews that are not based. And sometimes it leads them to committing violence. That is true, and that is a concern, but a matter of national security? Not necessarily.
To reiterate, if men are going abroad to tackle foreign enemies,
Well, women are also going abroad to tackle foreign enemies.
women themselves
Also, the U.S. military gets called in for, like, things that happen here. Like, when something really bad happens here, the military gets called in. Because they're the most armed and heavy duty of our defense. Usually we have the cops and other first responders to come in, maybe even like SWAT, state police, and whatnot, maybe even state troopers. There's like National Guard. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of, our family. There's like different tiers, but like if something's really bad, then they'll bring in the military. It's not common, but it happens. Hurricanes and big natural disasters are an instance of this. Not the military, but the National Guard. No, the military will be brought in, depending on the scenario. If military, personnel are necessary. It's happened before. They've used military personnel and vehicles for natural disaster relief in Florida.
must tackle domestic enemies, and therefore women must be forcefully enlisted into a sex corps. It is my honest and sincere proposal that all women, unmarried, over the age of 18...
So he's arguing that because an imaginary draft that doesn't happen for men exists, because there is no draft for men. I don't know if this guy thinks there is. When you're 18, you sign up for the draft, and you have to do that. But, I don't... There's no draft for men, so why would this be... maybe if this is a thing that you could volunteer for, that's basically the argument the left makes for legalizing sex work and making it a, overseen by the government, safe, legal thing. If you wanted to do that and it was, a voluntary thing, where sex workers could get, a steady wage... escorts could get a steady wage doing it under the state with protection from police and the government and everything, and it'd be safe and basically what they did with weed. You don't buy it from your plug anymore. Now you get it from a dispensary, and it's a lot safer. It's a lot more reliable. You're not having to hang out with some weirdo who's going to make you sit on his couch and watch MTV for 30 minutes before he actually gives you the weed, because you got to pretend like you're friends with him, because if you're not friends with him, or he kind of thinks you're a dick, then maybe he won't sell any weed to you anymore. It's a lot easier now. It's a lot better now that in places where weed has been legalized. Basically, the left unanimously agrees, overwhelmingly most lefties agree, that is what we should do with sex work. This guy's nah, I'm going to pretend the left doesn't believe in that idea, and instead, let's push the idea that we need to induct all women into a draft that I imagine all men are equally, drafted into, I suppose, as a way of reaching true equality to prevent men from becoming incels. I don't know. This is bizarre.
Must, via lottery system, once per year, solve this threat to national security and cure incels for at least 10 minutes.
Also, do you guys really think incels are lasting 10 minutes? We're talking dudes who are older here, who haven't lost their virginity yet, so we're talking this is their first time, most likely. 10 minutes? For these incels? I mean, I'm sure some of them could definitely go that long, but definitely not most. What would it be one lasts 10 seconds and then it's 9 minutes and 50 seconds of them just sitting there in shame? The guy's going to come out of it more of an incel after that. Ironically enough, this scenario could actually lead to radicalizing the worst of the worst incels even further. They strangled their dick till there's no feeling. I don't. Yeah, it's true. Maybe so many of them have practiced like semen retention while jacking off so much they can actually last for hours. 9 minutes and 30 seconds to start an episode of The X-Files. I've never seen The X-Files. Why would you say those words, the vegan Raincore? None of those words are in the Bible.
10 minutes per year. Men can go and take a bullet. You can take that for 10 minutes. It's not that much. It's actually no.
Wait, he's arguing that women should have to do it 10 minutes per year. So it's like, not only is this imaginary draft he wants to do, like, worse than the proper draft because you're forcing people into being raped by the state, but it's even worse in that, like, when you get drafted by the U.S. military, you get drafted once because there's a war, and that's, like, generally it. Back in the day. Here, it's like you got to do it once every year. You got to get raped by orders of the state. God damn. If it's not clear, these guys really hate women.
Not insane ask, to stop terrorism, is it?
The funny thing is, too, I think this guy's actually gay. I saw comments below this post saying that he's like a right-wing conservative gay dude on TikTok. Like, that's his shtick. That's his, like, grift thing. So I think he's literally like a right-wing gay dude making content for straight incels. So that's an unfortunate life situation, if I were to say so myself. Is that a fake British accent? Yeah, that was a fake British accent. That individual was very clearly American and faking some kind of attempt at what, like, the fake intellectual sounding British accent. You guys know the one? Yeah. Well, that was fucking awful. I really don't have much else to say about that, but yeah, the incels are wiling out. Yeah, we had a Sarga night. What do you guys think of that segment? I feel like that was a fun one. Fun one to start off the stream. Ten out of 10, negative experience. We're all Zan cells now. Hell yeah. By the way, if you're watching right now and you're enjoying what you're seeing, please consider dropping a like. It's completely free and it really helps the stream a lot. We've got 300 people watching right now and only 164 likes. I do appreciate the likes, but I feel like we can hit 200 before the next segment. Come on. I want to push you guys. I want to see what you can achieve. Hit that like button. Let's see those likes hit 200. Oh, here they come. Let's go. That's what I like to see. Let's go, chat. I believe in you. Let's go, 193. Come on, every like counts, guys. Every single individual like counts. 199. Come on, one more, chat. One more. One more. I know you guys are capable. I know you guys can do this. I know you have it in you. One more like. Come on. 202. Let's go. Let's go. 209. You guys are pushing it over the limit. Let's go. I love you guys very much. Your support is very, very appreciated. And as mentioned earlier, of course, if you guys want to go the extra mile and you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, it is always appreciated if you're able to donate, subscribe, or gift a sub on the site. I really always do appreciate it. Just like Erie just did. Thank you for the $20 super chat, Erie. I really appreciate that. Just said Vosh sells seething over Zan chats. True! That is the truest statement that has ever been uttered in my chat. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Will you talk about the Mr. Beast drama with Chris? Yes, I will. I do have plans to talk about that today. Don't you guys worry. Today's going to be an exciting and fun stream. I had to hit you with the meme face. Sorry, Vosh Cells, I'm the only true Zan Chad. This is Zan maxing. Real. Xanderhall, we've been good. Can we have more Rightoid Cinema Sins? Honestly, yeah, we can do some more Rightoid Cinema Sins soon. Maybe not today, because I don't know how much time I'll have for it. If we do have time for it, we can. Just remind me, Fantasy Jorts. But definitely next stream. We could do it tomorrow. Holy hell! Marionette, thank you for the 10 Tier 1 gifted subs. Hot damn! That is $50 Redinos right there. I really do appreciate it. God damn, thank you. Gifted to Int Imco, K9 Janya, Null Integer, Pink Sheep, Nadia, Prancing Goldfish, Liz Lexi, Arius, Mufi, Holly T, and Sam Quate. Thank you. I'm sure they all really appreciate it, and I certainly do too. You didn't even say anything, Marionette. Thank you. Holy crap. That is really, really kind of you. I really do appreciate it. That actually, if I update the dono goal, puts us at $114 in the dono goal, so we're quite a bit over a third of the way to me putting on that onesie if we hit the goal tonight. I really appreciate the support, guys. Hell yeah, white name genocide. That's what I like to see. I love seeing all the pretty colored names in my chat. Ugh, my nose is itchy though. Welcome, Scarlet R. Consider coming to the website. It's the real chat that you actually see on screen that everyone's talking in. I don't consider YouTube chat the real chat, but you know, sometimes I'll acknowledge the people over there when they've earned it. When they've earned it. Just getting the segment prepped, guys. All right. Eerie, thank you for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. Said, currently taking my stupid walk for my stupid mental health because it actually somehow works. It makes me feel better. Mad emoji. Well, I hope you enjoy the walk. I hope the weather's good, and I hope you see some cool stuff. And I honestly hope that my dulcet tones of my voice are able to, you know, help you enjoy the walk. You know, and take some walkies. Yeah. All right. I appreciate the support. All right, guys. My nose needs to stop itching. All right, y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. Matt Walsh, the fucking supervillain, trying to single-handedly, not quite single-handedly, but he wishes he could single-handedly push for the genocide of LGBT people in this country, is back on his bullshit, but this time doing one of his genocidal villain speeches in front of a massive audience of people. Now, as usual, whenever it comes to me, oh, it just stopped the recording. I hit the space bar on my keyboard and it stopped the recording. Holy shit. I didn't know it did that. Wait, that's super cringe. We gotta restart the segment. And I gotta itch my nose, because that's gotta... What is going on? Ugh. Well, that should have dealt with the itch. Okay. Lamau, new fear unlocked for Zan. Unironically, holy shit. Okay. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. All right, everybody. So, as you all know, the head transphobe of the Daily Wire, and I do feel comfortable calling him the head transphobe of the Daily Wire because he's really the one who's the most obsessed with trans people. Matt Walsh is back on his bullshit. Not that he ever got off of it, but this time giving an unironic villain speech in front of a whole crowd of people at, I believe, a university. A crowd, of course, that had multiple trans people in it, and, well, let's just say he decided to end his big villain speech event with a final speech directed specifically at the trans people that were in the audience, face-to-face, of course. Now, before we get into covering that, I want to talk about the fact that the right incessantly pretends that there is some pretend imaginary like body of data that backs up any of the things that they believe about trans people, but unfortunately for them, none of that is true, and they have spent a lot of money on making, assuming there's a potential viewer of these people's content watching right now, making sure that you are not exposed to any of the data, the science, or the research that actually validates trans people, because believe it or not, there is not any that invalidates them. I know, surprising. Try to find some. It doesn't exist. So, with that said, let's go ahead and watch this quick clip that I like to show at the beginning of segments like this, where we cover transphobes that try to pretend that there is any merit to what they claim. Because I feel it's important to remind you all that everything I'm saying here comes from, like, actual scientific and medical consensus. Not like... This isn't like some made-up Twitter, Tumblr bullshit or anything. Anyway, let's watch. It's a good video. It's a really good video. I'll link it in chat for you guys. You guys need to start just replying with this underneath every single... Like, you just need to start spamming this video underneath every single, like, chud transphobe post. Because they're just gonna... And see how quick you get blocked for it. By, like, popular figures, because they don't want this video in their replies. Like, that is really one of the best ways that you, as an individual... can fuck over these content creators on the right that are pushing transphobia, is just to spam their replies with that video and links to the data. Because they'll block you. They'll block you to try to prevent it, and then you can just post the screenshot of their block and what they blocked you for to just reveal, like, oh, they don't like you showing their fans in the replies the data that they very conveniently pretend like doesn't exist. Ooh. All right. With all that said, Matt Walsh posted a video on Twitter a couple days ago, captioned, "There were a number of trans people in the audience tonight, and I ended my speech speaking directly to them. The truth is that I'm actually trying to help these people, unlike all those who affirm, quote-unquote, them." Now, to remind you, of course, everything this guy stands for is completely, disagreed upon by the scientific consensus, so this is really just feelings and, like, a dude who really is scared about, like, trans people just pulling shit out of his ass to try to sound smart, and he's paid a lot of money to do so. How many people are you blocked by, Zan? I'm blocked by quite a few people, but I also have a shit ton of people blocked as well, because, like, pretty much anybody who comments some dumb shit on my Twitter, I just block them, because I don't really care about my Twitter being a place where I argue with, like, people I disagree with. It's just kind of... It's just kind of my place for making fun of stupid people by quote tweeting them, and then talking about stuff that I'm into with my fans.
Trans ideology is the most toxic evil our nation faces today, and it must be burned to the ground, destroyed completely.
Remember, guys, this is obviously going to be, like, akin to, like, a Nazi speech. You replace anything he says here with Jews. Like, if you replace when he says trans or trans ideology with Jews or Judaism, it's literally a Nazi speech. Like literally, it's a Hitler speech. But... I want to emphasize the reason for that isn't necessarily because Matt Walsh himself cares that much about trans people. Matt Walsh probably does hate trans people a lot, but at the same time, he is being paid a lot of money to do all of this. This is his grift. This is his racket, right? And that is the reason why he's so focused on this. And one of the things that conservatives love so much about conservative content is the fact that it is so openly cruel towards the left and minorities. I've said this a lot lately, but I think it's important and bears repeating, is that the right considers cruelty a virtue, and being cruel to trans people, especially right now, is possibly one of the most paramount virtues of the right. Like, it's one of the most virtuous actions you can take on the right, is to be cruel to a trans person.
Trans ideology is the most toxic evil our nation faces today, and it must be burned to the ground, destroyed completely. Now, if you are a trans-identified person, and you hear that,
by the way, trans-identified person or trans-identified whatever, like, transphobes make up is not a scientific term that is accepted or used by the medical community. It's literally a phrase made up by random internet people. It's literally an internet phrase. It's literally been made up by transphobes on the internet. The term used by medical professionals and by the academic community and by scientists is trans women or transgender women, or in some cases transsexual, if that's preferred by the individual that is trans. But, like, never this trans-identified person thing these people try to attempt. A while ago, these people stopped arguing that they're they stopped saying overtly that there was any data to back up what they believe and just started implying it. And then when confronted on the fact that there is overwhelming data that backs up trans validity, they basically just argue that the data and all of the science and all of the consensus among the academics and the professionals is actually corrupted by the left, and we can't trust the professionals anymore, which is why they turned trust the professionals into sort of like a derisive meme, right? With the whole like anti-vax thing and being anti-trans and all that. They say trust the professionals as a way of making fun of the left. They see us listening to science as a thing to be mocked. At least among those that are radicalized enough to believe, like that are so far gone that they actually don't care about truth anymore. Those that are just falling down the rabbit hole and consuming these people's content, I genuinely think they believe that there's actually like data or science or like smart people overwhelmingly that agree with them, that back up that like trans people are just delusional. They just kind of assume that must be the case, right? Because, you know, in elementary school, they learned that boys have wieners and girls have vaginas, right? So surely that's where it ends. The world can't be more complicated than what you learned in elementary school, right?
you should be the most on board with this campaign, because trans ideology has taken more from you than it's taken from me or any of the rest of us. You are a victim. You are. Just not in the way that you think. You are a victim of transgenderism. You have fallen prey to this ideology.
Remember, there's no trans people complaining about this supposed victimization of trans ideology. In fact, it's been literally generations of trans people desperately fighting for the rights that Matt Walsh is arguing right now is actually an injustice to them. I want to remind you all, by the way, that this is the exact same argument that the right used about gay people back in the day, that they're too pussy to use now because it's too overtly bigoted. Our society's gotten too, overwhelmingly accepting of gay and lesbian people to say exactly this about them. But they did used to say this. They used to say that gay people had a problem. They were sexually confused. They were just confused. Now they say gender confused about trans people because it's literally the same exact propaganda. They just say trans instead of gay. And before that, they said Jew. And before that, they said black. But yeah, regardless, it's the same exact propaganda pretty much, overwhelmingly. But they're arguing right now that you being affirmed is actually you being oppressed in some way, as a way of just kind of smugly doing the DreamWorks smile and saying, not only do we hate you, and do we want to take away your rights, not only do we want to do that, not only do I want to do that, not only that, but I'm going to pretend like I care about you while I'm doing it, and I'm going to stare you in the eye in person. I'm going to say, this is what's best for you. That is what he is doing right now. Because remember, they all know this is bullshit. At least Matt Walsh does. The goal is cruelty. Maximum cruelty towards minorities. And of course, as I mentioned before, they argue this all of the same shit for gay people back in like the 90s and the 80s. They argued that gay people were confused and sent them to conversion therapy camps where they would basically, what conversion therapy is when it comes to gay people, this is what they would do when it comes to conversion therapy. They would show, say, a gay guy, like it would be kids mostly. They would show like a gay kid who's a boy, images that were meant to cause arousal in gay dudes, right? Like that wouldn't cause arousal in a straight guy. And then if they show a response that indicates arousal, they would administer a painful stimuli. So that from then on out, whenever exposed to a gay stimuli, that person would then be inundated with the memories of their torture and the pain they felt that they now associate with that imagery. And now they will, instead of feeling aroused when they see anything that's gay, they would feel pain, or they would feel trauma from said pain. It is unironically just torture. Like you're literally trying to torture the gay away. And it's been overwhelmingly shown not to work. And that is what conservatives advocate for now with trans people as well. They say gender confused, and they advocate for gender conversion therapy or transgender conversion therapy. That is what Matt Walsh advocates for.
And the ideology is wrong, which means that you are wrong. You are wrong.
And I should mention, by the way, he'll continuously call it an ideology because he's trying to pretend like this is something that people like made up online or something like that. But the fact is, this isn't an ideology, it's just science. He's arguing with science.
About your view of the world and of reality and of yourself. You are deeply, catastrophically wrong, and you are on a path that can only lead to despair, I promise you. It cannot have any other outcome.
The data overwhelmingly disagrees with this. Obviously, we watched that little video at the beginning, and one of the data points it showed a few studies for was that transitioning overwhelmingly helps the well-being and the mental health of people who transition. And there was another few studies that showed that acceptance and validation, like the affirmation that Matt Walsh claims is bad for trans people, also markedly improves their mental health, suicide ideation, suicide rates, all these things that Matt Walsh and other transphobes try to use as an argument that trans people are actually victims of trans ideology, that the increased suicide rates of trans people, the disproportional depression rates and what have you, are not products of the fact that people like Matt Walsh see them as second-class citizens to be mocked and ridiculed and looked down upon and have their rights taken away from them. No. It's because they exist. That's why they are upset. They exist. That's why they're suicidal. No amount of what science and data shows actually helps them is actually the good thing in his mind. Well, he knows it is. He knows he's lying. He's paid to lie.
Most people will...
I should stop acting like he believes any of the things he's saying. I'm sure he hates trans people, but not for the pseudo-intellectual reasons he says he does.
Not tell you this. Okay, they will lie to you because they don't care about you. Your life means nothing to them. The people who are pushing this on you and telling you it's so great and applauding it, they don't give a shit about you.
Matt Walsh is paid tens of millions of dollars a year by the Daily Wire to say this shit, by the way. He's pretending like he I guess the implication is that he cares about trans people, but like we literally know that Steven Crowder leaked the massive contracts that they give these people. Matt Walsh probably has like a $10 to $30 million contract. They offered Steven Crowder $50 million. Ben Shapiro's probably got a very large contract too. Same goes for Michael Knowles. Like, they're all contractually obligated to push this line, and their pay is determined by it. Like, this is all projection. There is nothing like this for like grassroots left-wing content creation online like this guy does.
That's what you need to understand. Your life means nothing to them. And your crippling regret that you will feel in the future, when you feel it, it will not faze them. You will come back to them and you will say, how could you have gone along with this? Why didn't you tell me the truth?
So I guess they've gotten to the point now where, because there's no actual data or facts to back up anything they have to say, now it's just, trust me, guys. One day, if you're allowed to do what you want, you will regret it. Just trust me, guys. Trust me. Time will prove me right. There's no facts, data, or actually sound arguments I can make. Just trust me. Source, just trust me, bro.
How did you let me do this to myself? They won't care enough to even answer you. They will leave you to wallow.
By they, he means the Jews.
In the shattered remnants of your life and your broken and mutilated body. And they will feel nothing.
Obviously, like, he's pretending like he's trying to have an impassioned, like, tough love talk with trans people. It's like the front he's trying to give, but the point is to maximize the amount of insults he can levy at the trans people in the audience that may be listening. Like, your body is mutilated. Like, oh, you've had your gallbladder removed, you've been mutilated. Obviously nobody says that if you've had a surgery to help you. No one says you've been mutilated. It's only because it's a surgery that is for something they ideologically disagree with. The affirmation and validity of trans people is not an ideology. The hatred of trans people and the stark like standing against of trans people, that is an ideology, and that ideology is conservatism.
Because they are using you. They are deceiving you. I am not. They don't care about you. I do.
Man, you must clearly care about them if you have to emphasize, I care about you, I'm a good guy, I do, as I insult you in every way that I can think to find.
Now, you can scream at me all you want, as some in this room already have. Call me every name in the book. You can wish death on me and my family. You can threaten to kill me and my family. You can show up at my house. You can dox me. You can come after my wife and children. And you have already done all of that many times.
No one's done this. Maybe he's been doxxed and maybe he's gotten death threats, in which case, I mean, you're actively advocating for genocide for trans people. So, I mean, you kind of threw the first stone, didn't you? Like, I mean, who cares? Also, no one's come to your house to try to hurt you.
But it won't change the truth of what I'm saying to you. And it won't stop me from saying it. If you are a trans woman, you are not a woman. If you are a trans man, you are not a man. If you are non-binary, you're not that either, because that's not even a thing. That doesn't make sense. You will never be the version of yourself that you are trying to be.
Notice the camera's specifically panning over the trans people in the audience to show their faces, because the whole point of this is to be like, Matt Walsh is like insulting the trans people who came to watch the event, and now let's look at their faces so we can see the trans people upset at the cruelty that's being sent their way. Isn't this entertaining, guys? Because that's what the right enjoys. They literally crave seeing minorities like upset. It's why you've got these content like accounts on Twitter, like Blacks Posting L's. I don't know if you guys have seen that one that's gotten really popular. It's literally just an account for, I mean, it's what you think it is. There's also the T-slurs posting L's accounts. There's about 50 of those. A lot of women posting L's accounts and whatnot. It's literally all centered around maximizing cruelty towards minorities. Because it's really all they care about, right? And depending on, like, how far right you are, that opens you up to, like, how many more minorities are you okay with specifically hating because of, like, something that really isn't something worth hating them for, right? So, for example, you've got, like, the more, you know, kind of edgy, centrist kind of leaning people who are completely fine engaging in the same type of, hatred that they probably would agree would be unjustified towards someone because of their race, because of, say, their religion, or because of their nation of origin. A lot of people are completely fine just being essentially bigoted towards fat people. Like, oh yeah, I can be cruel to people just because they're fat. That justifies cruelty towards them, right? If you think about it, that's kind of a bigotry. There's a lot of, like, layers to it, right? Like, a ton of people want groups they can be hateful towards for basically no reason other than you don't like the way they look, essentially, or what they, like, for reasons that essentially you have no justifiable reason hating or judging someone for. And it basically just kind of, you slide down towards the center, and the amount of groups you're allowed to be hateful towards kind of narrows. But yeah, there's still a lot of groups that it's still okay to just completely shit on for really no reason, just because they are a certain way.
You never will. That version is a figment of your imagination. It is a mirage in the desert. It is not real. You are an entire universe away from actually being what you claim to be. And no matter how
It's the funny thing is that Matt Walsh isn't just wrong here, like, on the grounds of trans issues. He's also just wrong on the grounds of, like, modern, like, science. Like modern scientific consensus. Like, even if we just completely ignore, like, the topic of trans people, if we talk about the topic of, like, gender and sex, like, just outside of the purview of trans people, like, we're not thinking about trans people here, we're just talking about the concept of gender and the concept of biological sex. Even there, the scientific consensus is that these like things are way more complicated than these conservatives will allow you to believe it is. I'll put a video on that does a really good job of explaining it from Crash Course, which is a really good educational source. A lot of, like, American high schoolers watch it because, like, it's like verified as, like, a good source of educational material. They do a very good job of sourcing everything as well. Like, all of you, 90% of you in chat have watched Crash Course in school. Like, your teacher has put it on for you. There's a Crash Course video about how fucking stupid the right-wing belief about sex and gender is. Actually, the video I'm going to put on isn't even about gender. It's about sex and how sex is more complicated than a binary, like biological sex. So that'll be our palate cleanser after this.
how much you pursue that phantom, you will always remain as far from it as you are right now and as you were when you started.
Dude, it's so wild that YouTube still does their little, like, Pride Month logo thing, while, like, this guy is pulling, like, hundreds of millions of views a month on their platform. And no matter how much you report his channel, he will not get banned, because he's got a special, like, YouTube has special systems set up to prevent large right-wing channels from having the TOS applied to them equally. Like, there are literally lefty channels that get striked for having Matt Walsh's face in the thumbnail. And Matt Walsh is fully monetized and not banned from YouTube. Yeah, Matt Walsh gets more views than Markiplier. Did you guys know that? Markiplier gets less views per month on YouTube than Matt Walsh. And that's just YouTube. That's not counting Twitter. That's not counting his, like, the Daily Wire's, like, website and streaming service and whatnot. Matt Walsh is a more influential public figure than Markiplier online. And a lot of that growth has been very recent because of all the anti-trans stuff. He's realized how big of a grift it is to prey off of this particular fear. And just know, this era of anti-trans hate, the reason why it is so fervent is because this is their last chance. This is the right's last chance. And they admit it. The reason why Matt Walsh does that LARPy, like, we are losing this battle, this is our last chance, is because for the right, it is their last chance. Gen Z, as much of a big problem as the alt-right rabbit hole is overwhelmingly more progressive than millennials and Gen X. Zoomers are way more progressive than their parents, to the extent that Zoomers are basically pushing the cultural normalization of gay and trans people. You guys know that, right? You guys have noticed that, right? That, like, Gen Z are pretty much the ones doing most of the legwork to normalize gay and trans people in our society. There's only more Zoomers coming along, and that trend only continues. There's only more of them aging into voting age. Our society is only becoming more accepting of trans people. And among moderates, this whole, like, trans hate thing is losing steam as well. This, like, this method isn't winning elections for the right. They're getting their asses blown out in midterms and in basic like elections across the country. They've been getting their asses blown out the last couple like year or so. They're not doing well electorally right now. Right now, they're not doing well, and things are only going to get worse for them. You've seen that the right has been advocating more for trying to ban college and shut down colleges and raise the age to vote. These are two things they're trying to do in order to prevent Gen Z from making the Republicans and conservatism literally non-existent as a political force in America. They are terrified. They have years, maybe, left where they can be this openly genocidal towards trans people. Because in a few years, the level of like broad acceptance that trans people are going to have inevitably, and I feel comfortable saying this, inevitably going to have, is going to make rhetoric like this, like it's going to be looked at the same way that KKK rallies are looked at in like 3 years at most. They know this. It's why they're in such a panic and why they're pushing so hard. They know this hyper anti-trans narrative is only going to be, a money cow, like a cash cow for so long before it's completely unviable as a platform. The Overton window is moving.
And here's the thing. You know that. You know that, don't you? Deep down within yourself, you know it's all a lie. You call yourself a trans woman, but you look at the real women in this room tonight, and you know that you will never be what they are. You know that.
I like how a lot of the women in the room that are obviously cis women, unironically, don't pass as well as a lot of the trans women that I know. Something that you'll notice a lot, maybe this is just me, but like especially growing up in Florida, holy shit. Listen, when I was a lifeguard at a water park in Florida for an entire summer, okay? Most trans women pass better than a lot of the cis women I saw at the water park in Florida, okay? And that applies to a lot of the cis women in this very room, okay? I'm sorry, but it's true. It's true.
You know they have something you will never have. You will only ever be a pale imitation at best, and not a good one. You will only...
This is also like this argument here is also stupid just from like a logical perspective. Medical science only gets more advanced every day. Like how can an honest figure say you will never be able to achieve, like there's absolutely going to be medical advances one day that allow a like cis man essentially to step into a machine and come out a cis woman for all intents and purposes. To be clear, by the way, transphobes will still argue that person won't be a woman because of, like, their soul or something. They'll literally argue that, like, you have a male soul. Which is what people like Matt Walsh believe, by the way. Like, when you really get down to it, people like this, they, like, when you really cut through and you manage to get them down to their last leg, and they cede all the ground that there is no actual data or any like facts to back up anything they believe, and it is all feelings, they literally feel like there is a male soul, like a male essence, and a female soul, like a female essence, and that's something that like just can't go away no matter what. Like that's really how they feel deep down. No amount of actual facts will change their mind.
Only ever be like a really bad cover band butchering a classic and stripping it of everything that made it beautiful.
Notice the conservatives in the audience laughing at the insult at the trans people in the audience because they're like, because they all actively derive their joy from cruelty towards minorities. It's like a bunch of, it's like when you watch those scenes in a movie where it's all the rich people, like, sipping their wine in their opulent home, joking about the poor people. Like, oh, they're starving out there. The famine has gotten even worse by the day. Pass me another chicken leg. Like, that's literally, they actively derive joy from being cruel towards those they deem as below them.
This is all you will ever be if you continue down this road. You recognize this, and you know it. I know you know it because that's why you obsessively demand that everyone affirm you and convince you of the validity of your...
Okay, Matt Walsh can't say the trans community obsessively anything. He is obsessively talked about the trans... He is the trans obsessor. He is the anti-trans guy right now. Hey, a pillow.
Own identity. You know, I've never desired to be affirmed in my manhood by anyone.
Well, this argument's kind of stupid because the reason why you never feel the need for your manhood to be affirmed is because it's never doubted. Like cis people's gender is rarely doubted, and when it is doubted is usually in like schoolyard insults, and when it is, you usually get insulted by it. Like, when you're in school, like, when you're on the playground and and Tom or whatever calls you, you throw like a girl, you're like, I don't throw like a girl. Because the idea of having your gender challenged is kind of insulting. Now, imagine if you're a trans, like, girl, and, you know, you actively have a provable, like, we've got science and data to prove this, like, an active tie of your mental health to your gender identity because nonstop your gender is questioned. Imagine if your entire life, if there were people like Matt Walsh whose entire career is based on the idea of questioning your gender identity. And not only that, but taking away your ability to affirm your own gender identity. Because they want as he said at the beginning of this, transgenderism must be burned to the ground. It must be fully eliminated. He means trans people by that, by the way.
If someone told me that I'm not a...
There is no such thing as transgenderism, just like there's no such thing as gayness or blackness. He means, like, it's not like an ideology that you adhere to. It's not like, oh, well, people can just not be trans anymore, and then that's the ideology gone. No. He means, like, trans people have to go for transgenderism to be burned down.
A man, okay? It would not faze me in the slightest because I know that I am one. You can't make me question that. Because it's just true. I don't need anyone to affirm it.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Cis people don't have it questioned.
Now, you do need to be affirmed because your self-identity is a fragile stack of empty boxes perched up on a ledge, just waiting to be blown over by a slight breeze. It's all fake. It's all a lie. It's a lie you tell yourself, but you will never truly believe. And I know there's a voice inside your head that whispers that to you at night.
Source, just trust me, bro. Remember, guys, no sources, no allusion to any, like, body of data that backs any of what he believes up. Just the presupposed notion that what he's saying is true. And that because of that, maximum cruelty towards trans people is what's warranted here.
I know there is. The voice you try to drown out.
Believe it or not, there were actually a few conservatives who you could tell were the people that aren't fully bought into the ideology yet, who were like, why is Matt being so mean here? I get that, like, maybe he's trying to do a tough love thing here, but, like, why say such cruel things to the trans people there in the audience who have taken the time and spent the money to come see your event live and hear you out? Like, there were conservatives who've actually bought the propaganda from these mouthpieces, who actually believe these mouthpieces are, like, good faith figures that are like, why is Matt Walsh doing something that's so obviously bad faith right now? And it's like, aww, are you starting to figure it out? That's cute. They're figuring it out, guys. The ones who are good faith, the poor bastards who got suckered into all this shit, they're figuring it out.
Out the voice you hate even more than you hate me. Listen to that voice. Stop running from it. Stop running from yourself. It's a race you cannot win. And
why is the camera shaking so much? Can you find someone to stabilize the camera? Like, I'm literally bouncing my leg right now because I have restless leg and my camera's not bouncing that much.
you want to. There's nothing wrong with who you are, who you physically, innately, actually, biologically are.
Oh, he's trying to. Okay, biologically, do you want to source any of this? Because if we want to try to argue biologically, we can look at what biologists agree about sex and gender. Because biologists agree that gender isn't a biological thing. That's not their field. Sex is their field, though. And their opinion on what biological sex is very different from yours, Matt Walsh. But I know what you'd say if someone brought it up to you, because I've seen what Ben Shapiro says when it's brought up to him. You'll say that all of the institutions, all of the academic, scientific, and medical institutions are all corrupted by the left and cancel culture, and they're scared to speak out against the trans ideology. Because there is no fact to back you up, so you'll eventually just fall back on a conspiracy theory. Nah, wrong. Gender is also biology. It's neurobiology. They found brain differences that back up transgender people. Well, I think the issue is that things that we associate with gender are parts of what we mentally might associate with, like, being part of our sex, right? Like, we live in a society in which our sexes and our genders have been, like, presumably presented to us in an completely tied together way, right? Like, we're taught that pink is a girl thing and blue is a boy thing, even though there is no, like, biological impetus to that. Back in the 1920s, it was literally switched the other way around. And despite that, shit tons of trans girls still find themselves attracted to the color pink. And the reason for that is that they've literally, since they were a child, knowing that they are trans from a very young age in many cases, have been exposed to women's advertising, from like kids' toys to like clothes, for women that are actively like typically associated with pink, because that's a girly color, right? And so there are tons of trans girls out there who are attracted to the color pink. It's all over. Look at Twitter, all over. Lots of trans girls like purple. There's nothing biological that makes women prefer those colors. It's literally something that's been socially programmed into us. So it's literally impossible for us to know 100% what parts of our like gender presentation and gender identities and gender like archetypes are something that is inherent to our brain chemistry, that like if we were like raised in a white room in like white jumpsuits, like would you still like that color more? Would women like pink more and blue and boys blue more when exposed to it for the first time ever? Like would they, like, you literally couldn't ethically pull off this experiment, unfortunately, but because of that, we actually don't know what extent or to what extent the boundary is. However, I am about to reference the actual science on this in a moment with a YouTube video, so don't get mad at me, because I'm listening to the experts, which is something conservatives have somehow turned into a derisive insult.
Be that person. Accept yourself as yourself. You have no choice anyway. You're only given this one body, this one identity. You'll never have another.
Isn't it wild how Matt Walsh believes the exact opposite thing about fat people? Could you imagine, oh my god, someone should take this speech and edit, like, Matt Walsh saying fat and skinny into where he says trans and, like, woman, like, make it so he's telling, like, fat people that they aren't fat and that they're skinny and that they're healthy at any size and that they need to accept themselves for who they are. You should, it's so easy to just edit a few words there to make that the speech. Because conservatives believe the exact opposite. Remember, conservatism is not at all in any way consistent. So you can take a conservative making a speech about one issue, replace a few words in it, and they're literally saying the opposite opinion about that other issue. Because there's no consistency there. They have like completely different philosophies on different issues, because they're just towing a certain set of completely incongruous values where the only consistency is minorities are bad, the left is bad, and we need to bring society back to how it was when only straight white cis men were having a good time.
In this life, you can go to as many surgeons as you want. They cannot give you a new body. They can only mutilate the one you already have. And you know,
surgery is mutilation, I guess. Good academic phraseology, as Ben Shapiro likes to say. I love the word phraseology. I love using it. Thanks, Ben Shapiro.
The fact that you'll never have another identity or another body, that's okay. Until recently, I'd always thought that the slogan, be yourself, was just a vapid kind of a new age platitude.
Oh, he realized.
Maybe it was intended to be originally. But these days it's taken on real meaning and real urgency.
Oh, now it does.
Yeah,
Okay.
be yourself, your actual self. It's the only self you'll
Ironically, the actual consensus on like trans issues by all the experts is that like trans people being themselves is them transitioning.
ever have. And there's nothing wrong with it. Stop hiding from who you are. Embrace yourself. Embrace the truth. Come live in reality.
Mutilate is such a subjective weasel word. Why not say improve if a trans man prefers having tits, then mastectomy is improving, not mutilating? Well, the reason why he says mutilating isn't because he actually believes that these procedures are mutilation. It's because it's a cruel thing to say to trans people, and the goal is to be as mean to trans people as possible to make them feel bad. That's why whenever he says something like that, the camera pans across the audience to show the trans people in it looking sad because, like, you know, how can you sit there silently and just listen to somebody say you deserve to be genocided and you're basically subhuman trash is what he means, like, and just sit there with like a completely straight poker face, right? That's the entire point, is just to be cruel. Conservatives are cruel. That is just sort of a staple of their rhetoric.
And be free. Thank you, everybody.
All those people want you dead, except for the trans people in the audience, I guess. Yeah, so with that said, let's actually listen to some, I guess, a little palate cleanser for you guys, of some actual science. Or actually, it was SciShow, even better than Crash Course. SciShow, sex is not binary. We'll just watch a little bit of the video because it's 13 minutes long. And I'm going to put it on 1.25 speed. Before we watch the video, this is 1.5 million views, and this video got massively ratioed by conservatives because they were so fucking mad. But you can just get a look there at, like, some of the sources we've got, like, really, really packing the sources in here. So we're definitely not just, like, talking out our asses in this video for sure. Let's learn about the actual science behind this stuff, because conservatives just kind of like to pretend they have like some sort of, you know, facts to back up what they say, but they don't actually outright say they do anymore, because when they get in debates with lefties or anybody who knows what they're talking about, they bring up this data and then they have to fall back on a conspiracy, which doesn't look as good to an audience. It's a lot harder to sell an audience on a conspiracy than a vague gesturing at a body of like science that backs up what you believe. Because everybody wants to be a logic bro.
In high school biology, we usually learn that the sexes in humans are fixed and concrete. Whether you're male or female is black and white and rooted in your DNA. Your 23rd pair of chromosomes is either two X chromosomes or an X and a Y. That's it. End of story. And that's essentially what scientists thought too. But it turns out that sex isn't that straightforward. In fact, biologists today are saying sex is a spectrum, and the scientific community is still working on understanding and respecting the people who fall in the middle of that spectrum. To get this out of the way right up front, we're not talking about gender or sexuality here. Gender refers to social and cultural attributes and understandings of men and women and their roles, though not every culture has only two categories, and it's increasingly seen as a spectrum. Plus, the gender you identify as may or may not be the same one as what you express with things like your clothing and behavior, all of which can also be on a spectrum. Sexuality describes who you are attracted to, and it can be equally...
So this is actually like a SciShow video, like backed up by data and science with like an entire fucking encyclopedia of sources in the description so that people can check to see if this is bullshit or not. Like this video, like this channel makes videos about like advanced physics and stuff sometimes that I watch. Like there's some good like good content come out of this channel. This is not like some science popularizing channel. I mean, it is technically, because obviously you're not watching this like as a scientist to learn shit, as a replacement for school. But like they discuss and teach about some pretty like high level stuff. This isn't just some like rando channel here. I want to clarify, like, this is real shit here. SciShow's the real deal. Zan, dare you building a rocket ship? What?
Complicated and on a spectrum, and where you are on these spectrums isn't necessarily fixed. What we are talking about today is your biology, including your chromosomes, your hormones, your gonads, and your genitals. The catch is that these biological...
Remember, guys, this is what Matt Walsh was talking about in that hateful speech there. Biology.
Your chromosomes, your hormones, your gonads, and your genitals. The catch is that these biological features don't always agree with each other. And they certainly don't always conform to those high school health class diagrams that tell us there's a single, universally correct pathway to being male and female. In fact, it's estimated that nearly 2% of live births are...
Yeah, the person who's speaking right now is an actual scientist as well, yeah.
Born with congenital conditions of atypical sex development. That basically means that something in their chromosomes, hormones, gonads, or genitals is different from what many people expect of a boy or a girl. This used to be known as being intersex, but these days it's better described as having differences of sexual development, or DSDs. And while nearly 2% might not sound like a lot, it means that there could be 130 million people or more with DSDs. If all those people were in one country, it would be among the top 10 most populous countries in the world. Plus, DSDs...
So... when conservatives try to argue this is some insignificant, like, percentage that doesn't matter, like, it really depends on, like, how openly hateful and uninterested in, like, the actual reality the person you're arguing with is, who's on the right. If they're, like, just being introduced to this info for the first time and they're, like, really, like, freaked out by this knowledge because they didn't realize, transphobes aren't really the most knowledgeable people. They're very ignorant. So when they get introduced to this info for the first time, they're probably going to be, like, shocked. Like, oh, shit, I didn't know about this. This kind of destroys everything that I'm arguing for here. And they're going to probably stand on their position just because they're stubborn, and that's how a lot of people are. But they might say something like, oh... that's such a small amount. It's just sort of like a mistake in the genetic whatever, and it's just it's not a very large amount. Like, we can't base our understanding of the world off this very small minority. They'll argue that, and then there's also people who are, like, much further on. Like, this is what Matt Walsh would probably argue if you got him on this. He'd probably call them, like, genetic freaks of nature. I've heard a few people I've debated say that when I bring up, like, intersex people. They'll say, oh yeah, those people are just freaks of nature. They're not supposed to be like that. And it's like, okay, but who says how they're supposed to be? They exist. Like, how can you say they aren't supposed to exist? They do. Like, does that mean we just exclude them from all of our body of scientific understanding of these issues? And that's what they argue that we should do, by the way, is literally exclude people who exist from our understanding of these issues.
These are not always something you can see. People can spend their whole lives thinking they're one sex based on anatomy, only to find at least part of them tells a different story. You see,
dude, okay, this isn't common. Like, this example that I'm about to use is extremely rare as of now. Granted, it could end up becoming more common as more cases of it are discovered, as this, like, knowledge becomes a thing and people check. But there's a story of a cis guy, born a man, working penis and testes, good amount of testosterone, just a hairy guy, muscular, just a guy. You'd see him and he's just a guy, cis guy. Gets an ultrasound for, like, a constipation or some shit like that. Because he had, like, some tummy issues. You know what they found with that ultrasound? Motherfucker his whole life has had a uterus. A non-functioning but still fully intact and recognizable as a holy fuck, that's a uterus inside of a man. Fucking uterus. And he didn't know his entire life until that day. There are also cis men who in every way biologically, like in every physical biological way that are cis, but have XX chromosomes, like women typically do. There are cis men who look fully like men with XX chromosomes. It's just so much more complicated than these people will ever allow you to be exposed to. And I'm not saying this is, like, an argument even for trans people right now. I'm almost just saying this is an argument for, like, people who are on the right who are like willfully ignorant about this stuff, like, is this not interesting? Like, is it not cooler if the world is more interesting and like profound than your current like perception of it is? Like, I feel like the world is pretty boring, generally speaking. I mean, there's exciting and cool stuff, sure. There is a lot of exciting and cool stuff, but, you know, after a certain point, things start to become kind of normal, kind of boring. Isn't it kind of fascinating and awesome to, like, suddenly have your entire world opened up to by scientific discovery to an entirely new reality of something that you so basic that you thought was so fundamental and basic in a certain way? Like, isn't that cool and interesting and exciting? Like a change of pace, like mixing things up. That's the way I see it. But so many people are convinced it's this scary, horrible thing. But like, trans people have always existed. The science is here to back that up. Society isn't degrading. It's fine. We're safer than we've ever been. Crime is lower than it's ever been. Like, we're in an unprecedented era of peace, ironically enough. There are certainly issues, but when in comparison to the past, we're in an unprecedented era of, like, things being pretty good for most people. Overall, trans people are not destroying society. Civilization is not being degenerated by the existence of trans people. It's just not happening.
Your sex is the result of both sexual determination and sexual differentiation. Sexual determination has to do with what chromosomes you get. Those largely determine what happens to your body during sexual differentiation, the process by which you develop the physiological characteristics associated with your sex. And contrary to what you might think, that differentiation doesn't stop when you're born. It continues throughout your life. And that means there are a lot of moments when differences between people can happen. So of course, there are a ton of different outcomes. We tend to put these outcomes into two boxes based on visible anatomy, or what scientists call phenotypes. Phenotypical males have testicles and a penis, while phenotypical females have ovaries, a uterus, a vagina, and vulva. But in reality, none of the traits we use to discriminate between the sexes are truly binary. There's a lot of variation within what we call male or female, and there's a lot of overlap that's normal too. Anatomically, someone might look phenotypically female on the outside, but not have ovaries or a uterus, or have tissues from both ovaries and testes. And genetics aren't any clearer, because when it comes to chromosomes, people don't always just get two X's or an X and a Y. X's and Y's contain genes that help determine sex, with the Y chromosome conferring the genes that enable you to develop male reproductive parts. But the processes for producing sperm and eggs are really complicated, and they can lead to lots of different results. In this process, abbreviated version, specialized cells basically duplicate themselves, then undergo 2 rounds of division to produce reproductive cells, or gametes, that have half of...
So, basically, the lesson that you should learn from this video, if you're a conservative, is science doesn't care how retarded you are. That's the lesson of this video.
The parent's genetic material, so it makes one set of 23 chromosomes. But sometimes the chromosomes don't split into exact sets of 23, and that means there are a whole bunch of possible combinations of X's and Y's that a person can end up with. For instance, people can inherit 3 X's or an X and 2 Y's. These folks are normally taller than average. Those with 3 X's have slender builds and sometimes have minor learning disorders. The people who have an X and 2 Y's, on the other hand, tend to have more acne because of the extra testosterone in their systems. In both cases, people retain full fertility. Then there's Turner syndrome, which happens when you just get one X. That results in female characteristics, but the people who have it tend to be shorter, don't really go through puberty, and may have mental disabilities and are sterile. And Klinefelter syndrome, which results from 2 X's and a Y, is the most common chromosomal sex anomaly. It happens in 1 in 600 male births.
What? What is the outcome? That's common. That's common. How many?
And can cause lower testosterone production and cause incomplete testicular development, though the symptoms can be minor enough that a person isn't diagnosed until later in life. But there's also...
All right, we're good. Whew. Chat, how many of you are here right now? 454. That means statistically, there definitely could be somebody in chat who has this. Does anybody in chat know? Although the chances of you having it and knowing, but it's so rare. Yeah, it really isn't. Remember, guys, people with DSDs, if like you took all of them in the world and put them into one country, it would be in the top 10 most populous countries on Earth, okay? Remember that. When these people pretend like people with like differences in sexual development that are outside of what we consider the typical binary or like a non-relevant tiny amount, that is bullshit. Because one of the top 10 countries in the world in terms of population would not be considered inconsequential by anybody, by any means.
To the fact that all your cells in your body don't necessarily have the same chromosomal makeup, which, like, what? Did I learn nothing but lies in high school? But it's
Yes, okay, this is really interesting. I believe this is the, there's a couple types of this, right? This is the, chimerism, and there's the, I know he's talking about mosaicism, like a mosaic right now, and I think there's other types too that are really interesting. Basically, you can literally have, there's also different development things that this can cause as well, where like you can have a twin that you're developing with in the embryo form that you like, basically that you just sort of like becomes part of you vestigially, essentially, but is literally just part of you in only part of your body. You have that DNA, like in only like a certain part of your body, like a cancerous tumor almost. That exists. Like maybe in your shoulder, maybe in your hip or your stomach. Could happen to your heart. It could really be anywhere. It's scary. Not like a tumor. It's kind of like a tumor. Yeah, and reabsorbed twins can cause chimerism, like I mentioned before, and I think maybe we'll watch the video to learn more.
It's true. Someone with mosaicism can develop from a single fertilized egg, but have a patchwork of genetically different cells. And someone who's a genetic chimera has different...
Okay, so that's different. So mosaicism is when it's one egg, one embryo, one like thing, one person essentially by a conservative's view developing throughout the process, and still they have a bunch of different bits of genetic code throughout their body. The next thing is when you have two different eggs or embryos or more that combine to create a genetic chimera.
Genetically different cells. And someone who's a genetic chimera has different cells because they develop from two different fertilized eggs that merge in the womb. In both cases, it's possible to end up with a mix of cells with different sex chromosomes. And depending on the distribution of those cells, mosaicism and chimerism can result in ambiguous sexual characteristics or both male and female reproductive body parts. It's even been shown that pregnant people and their fetuses frequently swap stem cells through the placenta in a phenomenon known as microchimerism. That means a chromosomal female can be carrying around XY cells, and her son can have XX ones. In some studies, these cells have been shown to stick around in the mother.
I'm sorry to any conservatives who watch this video, and I mean, if you honestly though, if you're a conservative and you watch this video and you've gotten this far, like you have my respect. You do, because like the vast majority of conservatives who watch my content literally just watch maybe 2 minutes at the most. I can see this. I can see the data. Like it shows you who disliked your video and like how much of the video they watched in the YouTube analytics. So like I can see, like I can see how much people of the video people were watching before their dislike. And with the conservatives disliking my video, it's usually no more than 2 minutes. Usually a lot less because they're just clicking into the video to drop a dislike before like without watching it. But if you actually got this far, then I presume you're actually interested in hearing arguments counter to what you believe. And I mean, even if I disagree with you, there's a certain level of respect I have to have for that, because that tells me you're not in bad faith. I mean, unless you're watching this to learn left-wing arguments so you can hone your ability to come up with lies to counter them, I guess. Like, and in that case, I don't respect you. But if you're actually just listening because you want to hear the other side, then that's admirable.
For several decades. But all that said, there are also plenty of people with double X or XY chromosomes that also have...
Actually, comment down below 4 big balls if you watched this far into the video, and say that you're a conservative if you did as well. If you're a conservative and you watched this far and you made it this far, just comment down below in the comment section 4 big balls, all in caps.
have differences of sexual development. That's in part because at least 25 genes play a role in sex differentiation. So both mutations and relocations of these genes can result in a range of differences. Genes necessary for male development can be swapped onto the X chromosome, for example, or someone can end up with multiple or mutated versions of other sex-determining genes. And some of these are on other chromosomes and are inherited as run-of-the-mill recessive traits. All of these genes really start to be influential around 6 weeks of development. You see, at 6 weeks, the fetus has a pair of bulges called the gonadal ridges next to its kidneys.
Weird.
And they have the potential to develop into ovaries or testes. The fetus at this point also has 2 sets of ducts. One set can develop into the uterus and fallopian tubes, while the other set has the potential to become the epididymis, vas deferens, and seminal vesicles. And what happens from there is somewhat of a balancing act of different genes working in concert. Essentially, different networks of genes shout male and female, and when that balance gets knocked slightly askew, it can move a person along the sex spectrum. Take SRY.
So, basically the conclusion of this, like like if you could just put what the conclusion of this is into one sentence, it's that male and female are not binary categories that you fall into one or the other. They are different extremes on a spectrum. And a spectrum is literally, I mean, I think most people know what a spectrum is, but in this context, it's literally just one extreme on one side, the other extreme on the other side. You've got a bimodal distribution where there's most are on either extreme, and towards the center, the quantity is lower. Yeah. Basically, it's symbolized by 2 boobies on a graph. Like, imagine 2 very perky boobies if you're looking, like, from below. You know? Like if a girl has, like, the really perky boobies, and you're looking up, and it's like, whoop, whoop. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's what a bimodal distribution looks like. So, like, the left boobie would be, like, masculine, I guess, would be, like, male, and then the right boobie would be female. Yeah. I think that'll help make it clear to people what I'm talking about.
Y, discovered in the 1990s. This is the male programming gene, and it has a big effect on development. If it ends up on the chromosome of someone who is XX, it can cause them to develop testes instead of ovaries. This can happen because there's a step in sperm and egg production when chromosomes swap some DNA with their partner chromosomes. And even though the X and Y chromosomes generally don't join in on this DNA swapping,
is anything occurring naturally on a binary instead of a spectrum? Maybe I'm too smooth-brained, but somehow everything seems to be nuanced and on a spectrum. Well, yeah, we're not smooth-brained. I mean, I don't know if you're, like, saying that you're kind of overwhelmed by this knowledge, but I mean, unfortunately, nature and just the way that things exist, our reality is very complicated, and a lot of it is beyond our understanding singularly as individual people. The reason why science exists is because a long time ago our species realized that no one person could learn everything there is to learn, and you need literally a worldwide spanning army of different people who have dedicated their lives to learning information in specified fields to gather and, like, catalog that information and build upon it as generations go by if our species is going to go anywhere on this planet. Because, like, no one person can learn everything. It's just too much. Like, not even in one lifetime. Not even one person can learn everything there is to know that humans have learned so far in a lifetime. It's just not possible. The world's just very complicated. Nature is complicated. The universe is complicated. We don't even know why we're here, really. We don't even know how the universe started, why it started, where... We kind of know how it's going to end, but we don't know what happens after that. And, conservatives will try to convince you if they're Christians that it's because of God or something. And that can be a comforting, explanation. But I'm an inquisitive person. I want to know the answer to questions. I don't want to live in a blissful echo chamber bubble of ignorance. I want to learn about cool, crazy new shit that blows my mind, So many of these people watch Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's catchphrase, or, like, his most signature, like, meme is to be like, whoa, I didn't know that. And they watch Joe Rogan and they love seeing this content, but, like, they're so opposed to reacting that way to new information, I guess, on these specific issues.
process, they sometimes do. Plus, other mutations that occur during the production of gametes can result in multiple or mutated versions of SRY
can you pull
or
that up,
other
Jamie?
sex-determining genes because it's not the only gene that matters. There are also genes that actively encourage the fetus to develop female characteristics. For instance, the gene Wnt4 suppresses testicular development and promotes ovarian development, and multiple copies of it can cause incomplete female gonads to develop in people who are XY. Gonad development also triggers the production of sex-specific hormones, which results in further sex-specific development. But some people have differences of sex differentiation that limit their ability to respond to those hormones. Complete androgen insensitivity syndrome is one of these. People who have it are unaffected by male sex hormones because they have some kind of mutation to the protein that these hormones bind to, called the androgen receptor. And that means that while they have testes and a Y chromosome, their exterior genitals appear female or in between. There's also congenital adrenal hyperplasia, the most common DSD out there. That's when the adrenal glands underproduce cortisol and...
Oh yeah, do you remember when... Wait, what? What happened? Oh no. Oh, I got sci-showed? Okay, hold on. No, it's okay. It's okay. We saw the important part of the video already. It's okay. It's okay. Just wait. Just wait. It'll come back. It'll come back. It always comes back. Just give it a minute. YouTube. Remember, guys, YouTube loves platforming, hate speech, and genocidal rhetoric like Matt Walsh is, okay? But if you try to watch a science video as a lefty channel, debunking hate speech and educating people on the actual science, you will get copyright memed, okay? Love YouTube. Love this platform. No bias in favor of the right. Just wait. Just wait. It'll come back. But YouTube hates trans people and wants to shut me down, so I can't do any of my pro-trans propaganda. Common YouTube L. It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back. It takes like 3 minutes usually. It just takes a minute. It'll come back. It takes 3 mins. Oh, we're good? Yep. Refresh. Refresh. Yeah, it takes 3 minutes. When YouTube does the little copyright meme to you, we got 9 minutes in. It looks like you can play quite a bit of a copyrighted thing, and it's fine. It looks like it takes 3 minutes for YouTube to stop the thing. Back low, what happened? So for those that don't know, YouTube has a system set up that automatically detects if you're playing copyrighted content and then temporarily locks down your stream until you stop, regardless of whether or not it's transformative or not. YouTube doesn't care when it's live content. They just kind of immediately shut it down and just shoot first, ask questions later. It wasn't SciShow's fault. It's literally YouTube's fault. So YouTube, remember, YouTube is fine platforming genocidal hate speech like what Matt Walsh says about transgenderism needing to be burned to the ground. But if you try to feature a science video to educate people on the reality of this issue, you will get taken down for copyright because all these platforms by default benefit the right at the moment. That sucks. Anyway, Cherry, you can edit out that bit where I was waiting for the stream to come back and add that explanation there, because I feel like that's a good way to finish off the segment with me getting memed down for trying to explain why Matt Walsh is wrong while he is allowed to go on genocidal hate rants. Good platform. Good platform. Love being a lefty. All right, what do you guys think of that segment? Can I send you a really funny image of me? Can I show it on stream, Apillo? I assume you want me to show it, right? Was that a strike or no? No, it wasn't a strike. I gotta watch this. Let me check this out. God damn.
I cannot.
All right, hold on. Really quickly, before I watch this video, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's come out. Over 440 people watching right now. I really do appreciate that. You guys have been extremely kind, and just you guys coming out is nice to see. That's enough support already. But if you do want to support the stream a little extra and you want to help to keep the show on the air financially, and you've got the money for it, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website. It really does help out a lot. But if you don't have any money and you don't, have any to spend or anything like that, then consider just dropping a like over on YouTube. It really does help out a lot. Just a single thumbs up really does go a long way, and I really do appreciate every single one of you who does that. We're at 321 likes right now, 322 likes, so if we can get to 350, I'll be damn happy. I will be damn happy if we can get to 350 likes. But yeah, with that said, I appreciate every single one of you who supports me no matter how. Thank you very, very much. Charmenthal, thank you so much for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure Gold Bond, Mr. or Miss Whateverist, the death of death, it's probably 3. It's probably M3, two dads smooching. I'll appreciate it as well. I'm sorry, I'm getting bad at reading names right now. Oh, I really appreciate it though. That's so kind of you. Thank you for the $25. That really does go a long way. I really do appreciate it, Charmenthal. You didn't even say anything. How goated. Intimco, thank you for the $10. I really appreciate it. Said Intimco. Oh, Intimko. Oh, Intimko. Okay, cool. Intimko, that's how you say it, lol. Well, thank you for the $10. I really appreciate it, Intimko. It goes a long way. SS, thank you for the Canadian dono over in stream, or not, in YouTube stream chat. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $2.19 super sticker. That is very kind of you. That's like 30 cents in American money. Okay, let me update the dono goal. I love making fun of Canadian currency and Australian currency and like literally any currency that's not American. Is the Euro pound still down? Discord DM'd it to you. Can I show it the stream? Holy shit. A pillow, why do you... You may? A pillow, why do you pass? That is pretty good. That is pretty good. Is this like an anime character that I don't know? Is this an anime girl from a character I don't know? You went to a con dressed as Pinkie Pie. Oh, okay. I thought this was an anime character. My bad. I've seen 3 animes, and any anime that I haven't seen is not good. Every anime I haven't seen is mid. Until I've seen it and decided it's not mid anymore. So Attack on Titan is peak. Death Note is peak. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is peak. Every other anime in existence is mid until I've seen it and I've decided otherwise. Those are the 3 animes I've seen. Those are the 3 anime I've seen. All the other ones are mid. MLP is peak anime according to the people in chat. Please watch Bebop. I've heard it's good. I've heard Full Metal Alchemist is also good as well. Those are both on my list to check out. Balth wants me to watch Castlevania. Castlevania is what I'll be calling it, and I'll be watching that with them in real life. Hellsing. Fuck, I forget what the full name of it is. I want to watch that with Balth too. Balth and I got to watch that one. That's when I think I should watch with Balth. And then Evangelion. If I watch Evangelion, I guess I'd watch it with Vosh maybe, because I know he likes Evangelion. But I know his favorite anime is Fully Cooley. And I don't even know what that's about. I don't even know what the premise of that is, but I've heard it's trash. I've heard, literally all I've heard about it is that it's trash. Okay, somebody here said it's good. I hear people say it's bad and that Vosh's anime preference is bad, but I've been meaning to get into anime because my friend Ethan likes it a lot, and I figure I might as well indulge all of my anime-liking friends into trying their favorite animes. Hunter x Hunter? That one might be on the list, sure. What is this?
Boy, I say, boy, this anime stuff is garbage. You know what you could be having right now? You could go to college, get a degree in farming, find a beautiful big-breasted blonde woman, and have 3 beautiful blue-eyed Aryan children. But you know what anime is gonna give you? It's either gonna let you die alone, or you're gonna get a girl who's fat, or furry, or what's I say worse, both.
I don't know, man. Evangelion's kind of a classic. You should give it a shot.
Now, what in tarnation is an Evangelion?
One Evangelion later.
Okay, I should show the text. Or I should show the video. I should show the video.
I
of this.
say, boy, this anime stuff is garbage. You know what you could be having right now? You could go to college, get a degree in farming, find a beautiful big-breasted blonde woman, and have 3 beautiful blue-eyed Aryan children. But you know what anime is gonna give you? It's either gonna let you die alone, or you're gonna get a girl who's fat, or furry, or what's I say worse, both.
I don't know, man. Evangelion's kind of a classic. You should give it a shot.
Now, what in tarnation is an Evangelion?
One Evangelion later.
I say, fuck.
That was me after watching Attack on Titan. This is literally me before and after watching Attack on Titan. But with the female Titan. I was like, now what is an Attack on Titan? The female Titan got me acting up. Nice try, Dejaro. I know your games. I've seen Attack on Titan now. The hilarious thing as well, that you guys trolled me with, that I actually fell for a bit until I saw, like, more backstory that explains it, is that because Cherry might be listening right now, I'll be as vague as possible. The person who the female Titan is was already an adult when she first appeared before the big time jump event. She was the oldest besides all, maybe, fuck, I can't say these character names without Cherry getting spoiled. Anyway, yeah, no, that character was very much of age in the show, as I went on to find out and be like, I was getting trolled by chat, okay. Because people had convinced me that the female Titan was actually like a 14-year-old, which would be very weird for the creator of Attack on Titan if there was a 14-year-old piloting that fucking thing. Jesus, could you imagine? Now that would be weird. Honestly, though, Attack on Titan does, like, out of even the anime that I've seen so far, and most of the anime I've seen so far, is pretty, like non-cringe in that, like, weird, like, sexualizing way. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Death Note still has, Misa, who's, like, you get the really cringy, like, anime girl scenes sometimes and whatnot, and, like, there's the fact that she's, like, absolutely obsessed over this guy who isn't really that special, honestly, besides being a serial killer. It's, like, sort of this power fantasy thing in a way, like, fan service type thing. It's a little cringe. It's a little cringe for me. Obviously, like, Cyberpunk Edge Runners is specifically, like, it takes place in Night City, which itself is pretty edgy, but, like, it's got some fan servicey stuff in there. It can be a little bit, you know, it's not something I'd want to watch with my mom, despite how much of a masterpiece it is. But Attack on Titan, like, there's nothing weird in Attack on Titan. Like, I don't even think there's any sex scenes in all of Attack on Titan, or any, like, weird, not even implied sex scenes, or like, anything like that. They're naked literally all the time. The Titans are literally just, like, giant figures of humans. They have no genitalia, obviously. Oh, Cyberpunk, yeah. But, like, as far as sex goes, or, like, sexualization and nudity and, like, weird stuff like that, especially with a cast of characters that is almost all literally underage, there's really nothing weird or like sexual implied for the characters, or even overt, which I really appreciate. I think Attack on Titan's pretty unique in that. Did you see the court scene? Listen, just because your horny asses got hard watching Levi beat the shit out of Eren doesn't mean that's what we were supposed to pull from that scene. Jesus. I wish Eren was me. That's what you guys were thinking. No, there's a lot of people who wish they were Eren in that scene. There's a lot of chicks out there that wish they were Eren in that scene. But then, like, the second they were, they'd really wish it was over. Meme for you.
Sonic the Hedgehog!
Hey, what's going on, Daddy?
I'm tired of you. What?
I said, what is the problem, Papa?
I am not your father, you little shit!
But you made me in a lab!
That was retcon, you fucking idiot!
Now, Dad, if you keep swearing in front of me, I'm gonna call Child Protective Services.
What are they gonna fucking do?
The court finds that for the abuse you've given Sonic Robotnik III, you will be forced to give up.
Hold on, I have to stop. Did you see the Yellow Swag Studios comic of Knuckles bringing home Chipotle to Rogue, and she's like, man, Chipotle again for like the 10th time this week? And Knuckles like, yeah, man, yeah, Rogue, it's just, I really like Chipotle, you know, I've been really feeling for it. And then the final panel is a picture of Knuckles selling a bag of premium manure, 100% guano, to a guy, and he says, and the farmer's like, wow, this stuff's great, and Knuckles says, I got more in my trunk. Yellow Swag Studios is a fucking genius.
Up your science stuffs, your monies, and your robots.
My robots?
Well, you should have expected this after being so cruel to your poor blue boy.
He's not my son!
You know, that is not the best defense in a court case where you're trying to prove you're not a child abuser. I'm just saying.
Am I losing my mind?
Well, to tell you the truth, we're trying to get you arrested for terrorism and slavery, but we don't have the legal fees to cover that, so this is basically a cover-up second trial, like OJ.
Oh.
Oh, also on Tuesday, you're scheduled for the chair.
What?
Eggman is literally OJ Simpson? Real? Alright, we gotta watch Bouth's video really fast.
We put like a monetary value on actual life itself. Wow. It's just such a strange concept.
Yeah.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit, Jamie.
I can't stop laughing. I'm very high. Maybe that has a bit to do with it. This is an honest-to-God official dub of an anime. Wait, no, I can't watch this. Copyright. What? Can't do it. Nah, anime will get me super memed. Maybe if I only play a small amount of it, but I can't. I can't. I don't want to risk it. That'll potentially get me a strike. It's ghost stories? Alright, I'll play it. Okay. Alright. It's 18 minutes long.
Did that spell work? You know, like the one where you write your name in an eraser? I hear the head cheerleader's having an abortion. Slut? It worked. Shut up, get out! You shut up, get out. He talked to me at my locker and tried to fill me up. How Hitler?
That cut was insane. They go from gossiping to standing in the middle of the room doing fucking Sieg Heil salutes and saying Hail Hitler. Oh my god. Jesus. Okay. Sergeant Flux, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the $5. Said Semper Xanderhall. I have a concern. There's a car in my neighborhood with a Honkler Pepe decal on it. Should I be concerned? Thank you for the tier 1 sub. I really appreciate that. Burboy, thank you for the $5. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Said, you should give Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. What? It's another cyberpunk anime that explores political themes and is very not cringe. The MC is also a hot android woman in her 30s. That is pretty that is pretty base. That is pretty pog. I might check that out. Yes, you should be worried that is Nazi shit to have a honkler in your car. That is a Nazi meme, yes. Rob36, thank you for the $10. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Said, when you have quail, will you name them all? Yes. Or is that not your thing? I'm going to have you guys name them. My family chickens are called Agatha, Ann, and Louisa. My sister named them. Oh, that's so cute. I might name the first one that hatches, but I'm going to probably have all of you guys name them. And I can just use like a little, piece of flat metal that just has like I can get a little stamper that just stamps their name into it, or I can get colored ones and just color code them by name and put them around their little legs, and we'll be able to identify them easily by their little, they'll have like little wristbands. It'll be like a little ankle bracelet for them. It'll make it real easy. But yeah, I'll have you guys name them. And each color will have a name associated to it, so you'll be able to recognize them by the color. Because a lot of them will look identical. Some will look like, visually very different, but especially as chicks, they'll all look the same. Matter of fact, I guess we can take a quick aside for some quail maxing. Quail chicks learning to eat.
Into
God, I've watched all these videos on YouTube. Like any quail raising related video on YouTube, I've watched it, and so it has the red bar below it. So I don't know which video specifically I'm looking for. I think this is it. So this is them in their incubator where they've like just hatched, and he's going to be transferring them into what's called their brooding box, which is where they're going to go from being chicks to being like adolescent, quail. And then from there, you can move them into a hutch. But at this state, they're too small and too unable to self-sustain to not be in a brooder with some heat. But they need somewhere to sleep and drink and eat, and you can't do that in their incubator, so it's time for them to be transferred. And as you can see, not all the eggs hatched, because not all of them do hatch. Not all of them are viable.
Look at one of you.
And some eggs take a while longer. So you don't want to just throw the eggs out that don't hatch on your first go, because you leave them there for like a week. And see if, like, any last ones are late bloomers.
There you see? Okay, here you go. Let's put you right on in here. How you like that?
This is the same type of quail I'll have, of course.
Brought some shell in there for him to peck on.
Well, one of them already found the water. They're looking around and checking out their new house. So.
They gotta learn how to eat and drink for the first time. Oh, they can run. They got zoomies.
We'll be back in about a week, and we'll watch the progress of these little fellers as they continue to grow and feather out. So we'll see you back in about a week.
They're getting little baths. They're learning to drink. You have to give them very tiny dishes, like specifically made like this, or they'll drown. They'll literally just like not know. They don't know how to swim. They don't know like what water is. So like it has to be like such a small little bit of water for them to peck up. Otherwise they'll fall in and drown. Look how cute they are. They're little idiot birds. Oh, you can hear them in there.
Good morning, friends. Our little quails are 7 days old today, and they've made a lot of progress. Fixing to give them a little food to eat here, and I thought you might like to take a look at.
Remember, guys, donate if you want to help me get to this point so I'm doing quail content. Donate to support this.
See how much they've grown in just an extremely short amount of time. Come on in and take a look up close.
Oh.
If you take a look at them, you can see that some of these guys have really starting to feather out. They're getting pretty healthy. They're pretty solid, nice, pretty birds. They're eating, drinking well. They're even starting to try to flutter a little bit, like trying to fly. If you take a close look at their wings, if I can get some to come over there. Come on around. Come on. They're acting kind of shy today. But anyway, they're doing well. We've only lost two. One just.
That's gonna be the sad part. There's inevitable casualties when raising any livestock. And, I mean, quail are the quintessential livestock animals, so I'm gonna have to, like, go for, like, there may be, like, there's gonna be some sad bits. But the question is, do you guys want to see that when it does happen or no? Like, do you want to know, like, yeah, we lost a couple of quail, and do you want to see, like, what I have to do there? Like, do you actually want to see, like, what has to be done if you want to raise quail? Or do you want me to give you like a sort of sugar-coated version of it? Tell you but don't show it? I guess that can work. Yeah, they like to sleep in little kettle piles.
The next morning, and then another one died a day later. So we lost two, but all the rest of them look to be pretty good. They have literally tripled in size. That means literally, and they should be getting, you know, about ready to go over to the hutch in, you know, another 7 to 10 days.
Why do the baby quails sometimes just randomly die? Not really much you can do about it. Some babies are just unviable. Yeah. My solution to if any of the baby quail die and like what am I supposed to do with them is to convince Vermin to get a snake. So I can be like, "Hey, I have something I need your snake to like deal with." You can also bury them, but no, I feel like that would be Walsh and Vermin get a snake, and I have somewhere to put the unviable quail, recycle, have them go back to nature. I know it's sad. It's a sad prospect, but if it's going back to nature, feed Artemy. Oh, yeah, they've already got some deadly some deadly hunters. Yeah. The cats. I don't think you could taxidermy these things.
Everybody's acting like they're shy. Come on around here. I don't want to handle or mess with them too much. I'm scared I'm going to injure some of their feathers or break their feathers or injure them in some way, so I don't usually put my hands in here at all.
Good idea.
Okay, so we'll be back in another week, and we'll take a look at their progress and see how much they've grown in a week. Well, today is 14 days since the little babies were hatched, and they are...
Yeah, tragically comedic. It's just true of basically raising any animals. They just die sometimes. They can't communicate with us. It could be literally anything. Birth defects, it could literally be a disease or a parasite or internal bleedings, anything like that. And they can't communicate with you realistically to tell you there's an issue. And, you know, they just die mysteriously usually.
Are really putting on the weight and really grown. It's remarkable to watch how fast these things grow and all the instinct that God has put into each one of these birds, that they learn how to eat, they learn how to drink, they learn how to fly and walk, all just in 14 days. It's amazing to watch these things. You can literally see every day a difference in these birds. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So anyway, they're 14 days old today. They're fully feathered out. They're ready to go to the hutches. So what I've done is I've cut off my heat lamp during the day. I'll still leave it up on at night, but I've got it up as high as I can get it, so it just gives them just a little bit. And they're tolerating that coolness just fine. And we're going to give them 2 or 3 more days here without the heat lamp and let them go a night or 2 without a lamp at all. And then at that point, they'll be what I call seasoned, and they'll be ready to go over to the hutch. And so we'll come back on in a few days and do another video of us moving them into the hutch. So today I want to...
Just grateful you aren't raising cattle, Zan. Disappointing of one of those can be pretty complicated. Know from experience. Well, I mean, I'm only pursuing this because I know that I can do it. Like I have family members who've done this, particularly my uncle who like showed me how he does it. So okay, I know I'm capable of trust me, if he can do it, I can do it. That's mean, but no, trust me, the reason why I selected quail as the option is because it's something that I know I'm able to do, especially with the premises that I'll have, the resources I'll have, the skills that I have. It's something that I know I'm capable of.
I wanted to just let you take a look at them and see how beautiful they've gotten, and see for yourself. Come on in.
Oh, they're almost fully grown. Oh, they got hops. That's why I had to put the lid on, because they have hops now. Trying to fly. Notice they're starting to learn how to be more sedentary. When full grown, they're just kind of little like fat feather balls that just sit around all day, eating and getting fat. It's pretty awesome.
Well, me and Nancy sure thank you for watching us and joining us on this little journey with our quail as they went from the incubator into the brooder. So stay.
I'm gonna have an incubator with a lot of like, you know, viewing windows on it so that I can set it up next to the camera when I stream and you guys can see the eggs and obviously the quail during their process of growing up when I live stream. Because that will all have to be inside, so I might as well do it where you guys can see when I live stream, but the hutch itself, when they get full grown, will have to be outdoors. I wonder why they jump so high. They can't fly per se so much as like just get a one big hop, because in the wild that's how like their ancestors would escape from predators, but you know, they kind of lost the need for that in captivity. The domestication of the jumbo Coturnix quail is really interesting. There's a lot of history to it. They literally lost their ability to like brood their own eggs because like they forgot. Like they genetically as a species, forgot how to do that because of humans. And now they need human intervention to prolong their species. It's wild. It depends on what kind of quail you have, Coded. Those were Jumbo Coturnix quail. Okay. All right. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Ah, shit. Here we go again. Breaking. Trans male arrested for planning Colorado's school shooting. Had anti-Trump manifesto. Ooh. You know, can I just say something, chat? These last two shooting and attempted shooting events, both being perpetrated by trans men, I feel like pretty definitively proves that trans men are men. 'Cause it's always men that shoot up schools, or try to, isn't it? So this pretty much just sets it in stone for me. Anyway, yep, we got another one. This person was caught in the act, though, or before the act. They weren't able to pull it off. This one was a trans woman? Wait, really? Oh, so it says trans male... Oh, so it's being transphobic in the title? Okay. I think this one was a trans woman. The article just called her a trans-identified male. Ah, fuck, we got our first female school shooter. God damn it. Damn. A woman has done it. Alright. A trans-identified male. Okay, there we go. The first okay, I had to scroll down to the first paragraph, and there it says it. Okay, so is the post-millennial, like, a far-right, like, outlet? I have a hard time tracking, like, which one of these outlets are cringe and which ones of them aren't. I'm sure I'll get better at, like, remembering off the top of my head, but yeah? Okay, seems like it. Cool. Okay, thank you, chat. Turf Lingo? I know it's Turf Lingo. They're Lauren oh, yeah, the post okay, yeah, I know. All right, yep, thank you, chat. Yep, yeah, no, this is, like, full-on reactionary. Okay. A trans-identified male who goes by Lily, though her given name is dead name, was arrested and charged after a police investigation in Colorado Springs revealed that the 19-year-old was responsible for threats involving schools in Colorado Springs Academy District 20. Whitworth faces charges of attempted murder and allegedly making threats against schools in Colorado Springs, Colorado, according to local news. The Elbert County Sheriff's Office charged Whitworth with 2 counts of a criminal attempt to commit murder in the first degree, criminal mischief, menacing, and interference with staff, faculty, or students of educational institutions. Whitworth is an alum of the school district and attended from 2014 to 2016. Whitworth had attended Timberview Middle School in District 20, and an affidavit showed that this was the school Whitworth planned to target for no specific reason. The investigation began with the sheriff's office was dispatched on March 31st due to a disturbance. Deputies spoke with someone at the door on that day and learned that another individual inside was very upset and punched holes into the walls. Deputies, however, were not immediately allowed access to the residence. So already this is kind of our like first hint that maybe this person is unwell. Besides the fact that they were planning a school shooting in the first place, I think the fact that, like, there was a police call and they found, like, holes punched into the wall, I feel like that's a pretty, blatant sign that somebody is not having a good time mentally. Once inside, however, deputies found signs that someone had been punching holes in the walls and had ripped doors off their hinges. The person who reported the disturbance was reportedly Whitworth's sister. Deputies asked Whitworth if she had an intention of harming people at a school. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading right now because my eyes are like bothered by the light from my fucking streaming light. And according to an affidavit, Whitworth indicated that this was the intention. When asked why, Whitworth said, "Why does anyone do it?" Okay. Alright. Dude, my favorite thing is when psychotic school shooters get asked, like, why they're doing what they're doing or why they did what they did, and they, like, give some vague, like, douchey answer, and it's like, bro, fuck you. I hate that shit. That always pisses me off. Whitworth, deputies noted, I guess that's the point, though, to be fair. Whitworth, deputies noted, appeared to be drunk and made suicidal statements. Additional targets, per Whitworth's manifesto, were churches, and the planning had been ongoing for a month. Whitworth told officers that she had learned how to make a detonation device on YouTube. Whitworth's manifesto had a list of school people and shooters with notes next to their names. A list of school people and shooters. Okay, so I guess this is where we'll finish this dog shit article, but let's listen to the names of these school people and shooters that this person listed. Now, they listed a bunch of names and adjectives that they associate with those names. Eric and Dylan, the Columbine shooters, losers. Okay. Adam Lanza, toe smart. Israel Keys, degenerate. Okay, fair enough. The cannibalism shit was pretty degenerate. Israel Keys was a cannibal, right? Lauren Southern, pathetic. Oh, yeah, all right, fair enough. Vosh, terrorist. That is right. This potential shooter's manifesto contained a line calling Vosh a terrorist. This terrorist's manifesto contained a line calling Vosh a terrorist. So, chat, you know what this person was, right? This person was almost certainly a woke scold. They were a VDSer. Why are you guys saying DGG? Okay, chat. There are not a lot of trans women that are watching Destiny, and I assure you, Destiny fans are not more likely to shoot up a school, okay? I don't know what... you have brain rot, okay? You hate Destiny too much, okay? That's too much. You've gone over the cap. No, Zan, probably a DGGer because woke scolds wouldn't call Vosh a terrorist for warning about genocide. What... No, that's not why this person was calling Vosh a terrorist. Have you seen the shit that tankies and woke scolds call Vosh, me, like Shark? Not Shark as much, but to a degree. And like other, like, streamers? They literally call us terrorists. And literally any other, like, harmful negative phrase. They probably call him a terrorist because he is, like, a liberal, and thus in favor of America, and that makes him a terrorist. Like, it's very clearly, like, a woke scold-centric insult towards Vosh. But here's the funny part, okay? So, as some of you guys might know, after the recent Nashville shooting, in which a trans person shot up a Catholic school, and killed literally, I think it was 2 9-year-olds, and one of those 9-year-olds managed to make it to a fire alarm and pull it, I believe, before being shot. Unless that story was completely made up by conservatives. But, you know, so hero 9-year-old, fuck, goddamn. 3 9-year-olds, okay, yeah, it was very tragic. But, like, the right didn't care about the fact that children were murdered. The right cared about the fact that a trans person did it. So immediately, what they started doing, and what liberals ironically started doing on Twitter, was saying that, oh, it is said that this, the police say that this trans shooter has a manifesto. What are the chances this trans shooter is a fan of Walsh, and this is Walsh's fault? Because of stochastic terrorism, which is something they don't believe in, and they're just bringing up as like a tongue-in-cheek way of making fun of leftists. There's no evidence of this, of course, other than the shooter's trans, and I guess that means they must be a Walsh fan. But yeah, that's literally it. But then this potential shooter came along and wrote a manifesto that specifically insults Walsh. Now, if you're sane, this would tell you, okay, clearly this shooter was not influenced by Walsh and is not a Walsh fan because they hate Walsh. No. Rob Noor, not really popular actually, a pretty irrelevant at this point, conservative, who I think goes by the name of like Coach Red Pill as well, made this tweet. Left-wing streamer @VoshV has repeatedly described a quote-unquote trans genocide, implying we should stop right-wingers from committing this in the way we should have stopped the Nazis before rising to power, and called for the shooting of right-wingers like Patriot Prayer. That is not true. He's never called for shootings. Now his name has appeared in a manifesto of a would-be trans school shooter. And then attach the bit where the school shooter insults Walsh in their manifesto. I guess if you're very literal in saying his name appeared in it, you're technically right. But I feel like you're implying something more. @VoshV likes to blame right-wingers and media figures like @Tucker Carlson for stochastic terrorism. Okay, Tucker Carlson literally had to defend himself in court by saying that everything he says is so insane and wild that nobody could take what he says seriously, so he can't be held legally liable for spreading so much misinformation. So, yes, Tucker Carlson is a stochastic terrorist. And inciting shootings when a right-leaning person is the shooter, despite the fact these right-wing figures, unlike Walsh, have never called for violence. Ah, yes, none of these right-wing figures ever call for violence in any way. Here is a small snippet of Walsh calling directly for groups like Patriot Prayer in Portland to be shot. By the way, one of them were shot and killed by a radical leftist. Skip to 210 to see. Okay, let's see if Walsh calls for the murder of right-wingers at Patriot Prayer. 201? What is Patriot Prayer? Patriot Prayer is a far-right group founded by Joey Gibson in 2016 and based in Vancouver, Washington, a suburban city in Portland. Since 2016, the group has organized several dozen pro-gun, pro-Trump rallies held in liberal cities in the Pacific Northwest. Rally for Trump and Freedom, March for Free Speech, Stand Against Communism Rally, March Against Evergreen State College, Freedom March, Freedom Rally Seattle, Peaceful Portland Freedom March. I like how they put peaceful in the title. And freedom. They have to Freedom Rally. They literally call all of them freedom. Yeah, so it's a far-right, like, Nazi group. Okay. I will not,
As that he hopes would happen to
I probably agree with whatever Walsh said about these people in this clip.
people that are lawfully open carrying.
But like others will say like, no, don't do that. There might be attempts at ousting. Remember during the Black Lives Matter rallies, you know, there were like those Patriot Prayer dumb fucks rolling their, you know, $60,000 trucks through like urban neighborhoods with a bunch of guys with guns in the pickup trucks. When that happens, I want people to be able to take shots at them from apartment windows.
Based, based. When a bunch of white supremacist Nazis roll down the streets of black neighborhoods fully armed in trucks like a militia, yeah, the neighborhood should be able to, like, come together and use their their Second Amendment right to defend their community. Yeah. No, that's based. Yeah, no. Yeah, and he's advocating for it to be legal, not for it to be something people do against the law. He says that should be both morally correct and legal. Yeah, no, that's fine. Does Rob Noor not believe that, like, the American people should have the ability to be armed in the case of, like, defending themselves against, like, a tyrannical government? Does he not believe in, like, potential scenarios in which he's okay with the right committing violence? The answer is, of course he does. He's being, like, blatantly dishonest. There's a reason why these tweets have, like, 35 likes and he's completely fallen off. Those of us that engage in the Twitch and YouTube political debate space have seen just how radical many trans activists have become, calling for violence, claiming there is a genocide, calling for the banning of people they don't like, and oftentimes succeeding in getting these platforms to ban the people they want. Ah, yes, platforms upholding their TOS sometimes. At YouTube will ban you for mentioning election security because it can incite violence, but apparently people decrying a trans genocide and calling for shooting people is fine. Now we are seeing an uptick in violence. There is no statistical increase in left-wing violence. Right-wing violence has always trumped left-wing violence in this country statistically, and the right has to, like, scurry away from that fact constantly because they're the violent ones who want to commit terrorism. I'm not calling for Vosh V to be banned, even though I've been censored for far less over and over. I'm not calling for Vosh to be banned, but I do think, seeing as how he has directly called for violence, and now his name showed up in this manifesto, he should immediately do a video apologizing, decrying all political violence. Remember, guys, because his name showed up in this manifesto. So Rob Noor is, like, especially retarded. So, like, there's a reason this didn't do very well, because it's so blatantly, like, but you literally showed the screenshot where the shooter calls Vosh a terrorist. This isn't, like, this is literally, like, conservative propaganda, and the way that conservatives twist a situation made perfectly blatant, right? He says, Vosh was mentioned in this manifesto. The implication is supposed to be, oh, in a positive way, in a reverent way. That's what you're supposed to pull from it. But Rob Noor is stupid enough to include a screenshot that shows the person didn't like Vosh. This is how all conservatives do their propaganda, but they are mostly smart enough to hide the evidence that they're lying from their, propaganda itself. You have to actually dig for the evidence that proves they're lying. But yeah, this is just another scenario of, like, the right is demonstrably evil, doesn't care about the lives of children or, like, any of this shit. They just want to defeat the left. It's just a team sport to them. They're just trying to win. Don't fall for it. They're evil. They are objectively evil. How do you guys like that segment? Good segment, good. It was Pog. I'm glad you guys think so. Consider dropping a like if you enjoyed, maybe even donating if you want to support the stream financially. All right. All right. Do you ever think about doing vapor tricks? It's windy in here, so it's harder to do them. Hold on. Make a dick and balls. Vape Nation, baby. All right. You all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1. Action. Oh god, everybody. So, it's sort of like an open secret here in America that this democracy that so many American politicians and American citizens so proudly tout as what makes America so great is not really a real democracy. I think a lot of people woke up to this fact with the 2016 election, when Trump won the election, quote unquote, despite getting less votes than Hillary. Like, a bunch of people were watching the election live on TV, like, 16, 17, 15-year-olds who were, not wanting Trump to win, and they saw that Trump got less votes than Hillary, and then Trump was announced the president, and they were like, what? What? And then, all of a sudden, the Electoral College became a thing that was, like, maxed out on Google search trends with a massive spike the next day after the election, because everyone was like, what the fuck happened? Because typically, the popular vote, which is how many total votes did one candidate get, like who won the amount of, like, the total amount of votes, that's what usually is in line with the decision of the Electoral College. Usually they line up. Usually they're in the same category. Sometimes they are not, but in the case of Trump and Hillary, this is one of the cases where they didn't line up. Hillary got more votes than Trump, and the reason Trump won is because we have a system set in place that is anti-democratic, that is specifically set up to make it so that land can vote. Despite the fact that there is a significantly lower amount of people in the middle of the country in the red states where it's a lower population, despite that, these states all combined still account for, in many cases, more total Electoral College votes than all of the blue states, which are where all of the country's population is concentrated. So despite the fact the vast majority of Americans vote blue, because those blue voters are concentrated into mostly the same states, and it's counted on a state basis, typically, there's more red states than blue states. There's less red voting people, but the right has convinced people that states should be able to vote instead of people. And that we should, instead of having people decide, it should be states. And they try to argue this is, like, somehow more fair, but it is objectively not. It is objectively not, and it is objectively not democratic. And that's one thing. But this story is a little bit more wild. A study confirms it. Tennessee's democracy really is as bad as the expulsions made you think. Research assessed democracy in every state. Tennessee came in last. After his expulsion Thursday from the Tennessee House in response to a peaceful protest for gun control, State Representative Justin Jones, one of 2 black Democratic legislators expelled by the Republican-controlled State House, said that what the nation is seeing is that we don't have democracy in Texas. The State House in Tennessee is controlled by Republicans, so they ousted their political opposition. 2 of them being black, 1 of them being white. They included the white person because they didn't want to look racist. Very clearly. Not that that's the most important part. The fact that they're ousting their political opponents, and that's not democracy, is definitely the more important part in my opinion. Chillingly, data offers some support for Jones's contention. According to one scholar's research on democracy in the U.S., Tennessee is indeed the last democratic state in the entire country. The research here comes from a University of Washington political science professor Jake Grumbach, who wrote a 2022 paper, later expanded into a book, developing the first ever numerical system for ranking the health of democracy in all 50 states. Grumbach's State Democracy Index, or SDI, grades each state on a series of metrics, like the extent to which a state is gerrymandered at the federal level, whether felons can vote, and the like, and then combines the assessments to give each state an overall score from -3 worst to 2 best. The following maps, taken from his paper, shows each state's grade on the SDI in 2000 and in 2018. You'll see that Tennessee is by far the lightest colored state in the 2018 map, meaning it has the lowest score of any state in the country. You'll notice, by the way, the most democratic states tend to be the bluest states, especially nowadays. As time goes by, the more progressive blue Democrat voting states get to be more democratic. And you'll notice that the states that are harder red, as in their population, has less of a, like, Democrat voting population to gerrymander and suppress, they're also more democratic. Because they can have democracy there. They don't have a population there they need to take it away from as much. Obviously, it's not as hard, you know, super democratic as, like, Washington State, which is, like, the most blue state there is, honestly. Why is Washington black? Because it's so democratic. It's, like, it is the highest on the scale. It is the most democratic state. They don't really do as much gerrymandering here and whatnot. Like, it seems to be the least anti-democratic state in the entire country. At least as long as you don't count Alaska and Hawaii, I suppose. Tennessee's low score in 2018 has a lot to do with its egregious partisan gerrymanders at both the federal and state level, a problem that only got worse in the post-2020 census redistricting cycle. Research from the Princeton Gerrymandering Project shows that there is not a single competitive seat in the state Senate. Democrats are so efficiently packed in a handful of strongly Democratic districts that Republicans have a near guaranteed supermajority, over 80% of seats, in the state house's upper chamber. It's not exactly clear from this means that, like, the reason why it's so anti-democratic is because despite the fact that Republicans do not make up anywhere near 80% of Tennessee's population, they still have control of 80% of the state's government because land votes, not people, when Republicans are in control. It's not exactly clear from Grumbach's research why Tennessee is particularly anti-democratic, but what his research does show is that it's not isolated. The state is part of a general trend where democracy has degraded in Republican-controlled states. The results are remarkably clear. Republican control of state government reduces democratic performance, he writes in his book, Laboratories Against Democracy. To ensure his results were robust, he ran 100,000 different tests of the SDI factor, each time giving different ones, say partisan gerrymandering, more or less weight. This massive examination confirmed that Republican control of government has a large negative effect on democratic performance across the many simulated measures. Interestingly, Grumbach's research does not find a link between anti-democratic shifts in states and recent increases in a state's non-white population. The 5 worst-performing states, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, Ohio, and Wisconsin, all tended to have above-average black population shares, but see little change over time. It's because there are enough people there to vote to keep that from happening. They're scared, and Republican politicians are scared to alienate black voters if they have a higher amount of the population that is black in that state, right? It's why they have to dog whistle. It's where dog whistle and euphemism started. Which is not to say that race is irrelevant. Rather, he argues, race matters because it matters at the national level. An overall sense of racial threat among a heavily Republican electorate is driving Republicans in power everywhere to engage in more and more anti-democratic behavior. It's worth noting that Jones and Representative Justin Pearson, the 2 expelled lawmakers, are black, while a 3rd white legislator who participated in the protests, Representative Gloria Johnson, survived the vote. Survived. The racial dynamic was lost on no one, Johnson included. Okay, so it was just the 2 black justices that got kicked out. Okay, or not justices, representatives that got kicked out. Okay. Well, that's obvious. Yeah, they got ousted for protesting, by the way. That's why they were ousted, because they participated in a peaceful protest. Yeah, by the way, the right incessantly argues that trying to oust anybody who took part in January 6th is, like, communism. There is no consistency to fascism, okay? Fascism is not a consistent ideology. It never will be. The only consistent thing about it is its inconsistency. When it comes to state governmental choices over democratic institutions, the key question is not about racial politics within a state, but whether the state government is part of the National Republican Party, Grumbach concludes. In this sense, Tennessee isn't really an outlier, it's just ahead of the curve. So the conclusion is this is just the beginning. We're going to finish it off here with this video from KD. Representative Gloria Johnson, who protested gun violence with Pearson and Jones, was but wasn't expelled, was asked her opinion on why it might have to do why it might have to do with the color of our skin, is what she said. Okay. Yeah. God, I hate the way that people like caption these tweet videos and not just say like video of this and then like leave it at that. But okay, here's a video of one of the representatives, the one who is white, that did not end up getting ousted in the vote. Only the 2 black representatives were being asked why she thinks that this vote was held for them to be ousted.
Yes, and we're going to fight hard to get him back. I will answer your question. It might have to do with the color of our skin. Yes.
It might have to do with the color of our skin. Remember, libs are very scared to just outright say it. Because remember, the right demands they will lose their shit if you go meta. The right demands that you play on their field, that you operate on their dishonest premises. Don't. Get psychological with them. Get meta with them. Call out what they're doing by trying to establish the standards for an argument they're trying to establish. They'll lose their fucking mind and get super triggered, and then you pretty much win once they're triggered, because they'll just be mad. Yeah, this is the beginning of some pretty scary shit. The Republicans are waging a full war on democracy, and it's been going on for a while, but it really kick-started for real when they tried to fight against the results of the election when Trump lost. These are scary times that we're in. These are scary times. How do you like that segment, guys? I am very, very hungry. I think I gotta wrap up stream. I want to go longer, but like my stomach's been really bothering me this entire time, and I don't think I can go any longer, sadly. But it's been a really good stream. I've had a lot of fun. Eat? Yeah, I really need to eat. I'm so hungry, chat. I need to go prepare myself a meal. You guys have been fantastic, though. Eat on stream? Nah, I gotta prepare myself food and everything. It takes too long. But you guys have been amazing today. I really do appreciate all the support you guys have sent my way. The likes, the donos, the super chats, the subs, the kind words. Even if you're just hanging out in chat, just, you know, just lurking. I really do appreciate it. And of course, remember, guys, I will be streaming tomorrow as well, so make sure to tune in. Order a pizza? I think we will. I think we will order a pizza. That sounds like a good idea. I think I should order myself a goddamn pizza. Let's order a pizza, chat. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Fuck yeah. I'm down for a pizza. Alright, guys. I will see all of you guys next time, which will, of course, be tomorrow. Thank you all so much. And as always, have a good one. Bye-bye. Doo-doo fart.